Tonight, Midge Mathis and I have the pleasure of hosting an evening with Melanie Vritschan and Allison Smith. Melanie and Allison have been working together to achieve a viable lawsuit against the government of Belgium for failure to protect its citizenry. Her attorneys have used special language to include other member states. Melanie, you have the opportunity to take questions at the end of your presentation or during your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Depending upon what you choose, I will hold any questions until you feel ready for them. And please make known once again the costs to TIs for entering your organization and participating in this lawsuit. Okay, the chair is yours.
Yes, hello. Good evening. It's good to be back here with you, Frank. I see that there's already some activity in the chat. So, I'm very pleased to be able to be here and to give an update. Yes, indeed. So we have speak up. Is it better like this? Okay. Yeah. So indeed, we have been able to retain legal representation. First of all, it was a single lawyer who's very well known here, actually in Belgium, and he's very used to suing the government. It would not be the first time. But then there was a recent development which was even more in our favor, is that he discussed, he's also the vice president of a lawyers association, and this lawyers association is working only on cases that are in the public interest, that are public interest cases, which is here very clearly the case. So he talked to his colleagues, and they are very interested in our case, and they have decided to take on the case with this association. So they will, file the complaint, and we as associations and our members, on behalf of our members, will also be the plaintiffs. But on top of it, the association, the lawyers association itself, which gives it even more credibility. And what he says is that we really need to get the public on our side, and really inform the public about this crime, and to get their support. So we have decided that we will hold a conference, a big internet conference, on Zoom on the 20th of March at 8 o'clock in the evening, our time. So where he follows. There are usually 60,000 to 80,000 people watching his broadcasts. So he will. This internet conference will be mainly organized by this lawyers association, and it will. We at the moment we are busy organizing a technical expert team. So if anybody knows of people that could be technical experts that know technically something about these technologies, please make that known to us. So we at the moment busy compiling this technical expert team, because when we go into litigation, the judge will need to have somebody who can explain how these weapons work technically to him or her. We'll see. And so we are at the conference. There will be the technical experts talking. There'll be the time for this. Then I will make a brief presentation on ICATOR, basically how we came together as a team, about the foundation of ICATOR, why we founded this association, what is the reason, what do we want to achieve in terms of objectives with these associations, who are the victims of this crime in general, what are their pathologies, what do we see, what are their physical ailments brought about by these technologies, these attacks, and what they usually complain about, why we think that certain victims have been chosen, and also how these weapons work, what are the methods of harassment, stalking in general, what do the victims go through. All this I'll, of course, the members that come to us, I'll make a little overview about who are in general the victims' profiles of the people that turn to us being victimized. And then there will be a large part where it's going to be mainly the lawyers talking, explaining how we are going to go about this lawsuit, how it's going to work, and in fact before we actually go into litigation and sue the government, basically, there will be a first step. Is we are actually going to write to the Belgian Parliament to ask them to regulate these weapons, or basically ban them on the Belgian territory. And for this, we need 25,000 signatures. Our lawyer is pretty optimistic that we will reach this figure because, by the sheer number of people that are usually listening to him. And but we need to inform the public. We need to inform the public about first that these weapons exist, that there are civilians being attacked by these weapons, and what we want to achieve with this lawsuit. And that we will first then write to the Parliament and ask them for a very strict regulation or a ban of these weapons. So that will be the first step. This conference, he is going to explain how the lawsuit will work. He's going to take questions, and it will be 2 to 3 hours approximately for people to listen to and ask their questions, and to explain what we want to achieve with this lawsuit and how it's going to work. So I'm pretty pleased with this because certainly if we can use the audience that this lawyer association has, and there are also quite a lot of lawyers actually listening to his broadcast, then we should be hopefully able to reach the 25,000 signatures goal and to address the Belgian Parliament. So this is what we have decided. This week, next week actually, Valentine's Day, there's already a first smaller meeting with the technical experts that we have been able to recruit until now to give us support in the lawsuit. But we are open to other technical experts that might be wanting to support us also to join the group. And I must say I'm pretty pleased with the directions it's taking now. It seems to all shape up pretty nicely. And I'm also looking forward to this great conference organized by our Lawyers Association, where we can hopefully inform as many people as possible about about the court case and get the 25,000 signatures that we need to address the Belgian Parliament.
I have a question myself.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we in the U.S. and other member states be filling out affidavits to go with these signatures?
Yes, I think that, well, the first step, as I said, is to address the parliament, and there we will need to have signatures. What we would need, Frank, is once we have the Zoom link and the program to this conference, if we could, if you could help us spread us so that as many people as possible will attend. For the signatures, I think it's our lawyers that are going to prepare, well, basically this for people to sign the petition. At the affidavits, you are right, I think, but this is going to be a second step, because after we're addressing the parliament, we're writing to them, asking them to, ban these weapons, regulate these weapons, and this is to have, let's say, a track record or a proof in the archives of the Belgian Parliament that this this request has been done, that have received this petition with the 25,000 signatures. If we can get more, it's even better, but the 25,000 we need. And then, only then, we can actually go into litigation with having the proof that the Parliament has been informed about that, and that this petition has been noted in the archives of the Parliament, and so there is a trace of this. And then, indeed, for the lawsuit, but the lawyer is going to be able to explain that much better during the conference than I. As I explained last time, the Belgian residents here in Belgium and the ICATOR as an association on behalf of our members are going to be the plaintiffs, and to include all the other victims of the other states, outside Belgium. Indeed, you're right. They are going to be the witnesses, which their evidence will also be looked at by the investigating judge, and they will also be heard later when it comes to a trial. But they will be witnesses to the trial, and they will indeed have to send affidavits. Also their evidence, but also it's like supporting declarations. But that's in a second step. First, we have to write to the Belgian Parliament and ask them to do the necessary to regulate these weapons and ban these weapons on the Belgian territory, and so that it is in the parliamentary archives, that they cannot say that they have not been informed. This request has never been made. So basically that's how it's going to work. But you're right, Frank. Indeed, when it comes to litigation, there will be these affidavits have to be done. Indeed. But we'll have this great conference on the 20th of March where everybody can listen in and support us. And there the lawyer will exactly explain how the lawsuit is going to be, and what documents we need, and what is going to be the legal strategy, and how we're going to go about it. And so I hope that many people will listen to this conference and will participate, and so that we can quickly get these 25,000 signatures that we need to address the Parliament.
Okay, I also have another question that I think we should look at. The U.S. has rejected UN attempts to include the U.S. in documents pertaining to torture and other cruel and inhumane treatment. My question on this is, how is your lawyer able to circumvent this, since you have not mentioned an international court? It seems that you have mentioned a court in Belgium.
Yes, so that, of course, the lawyer will explain that also at the conference, but indeed, well, to be able to go to a European court or an international court, we must show that we have used all the, or exhausted, let's say, all the national ways of recourse, and that is the first, after addressing the parliament, this is 25,000 signatures, then we'll go into litigation, and there first we have to go to the court here in the first instance and try to get on a judgment in our favor there. If we should be rejected, then the next step is to go to the Court of Appeal. If we should be rejected there, well, the next step is go to the Court of Cassation. And should we be rejected there, then, only then, we can go to Strasbourg and the European Court on Human Rights, or the International National Criminal Court in The Hague. We'll have to see. But we have to show that we have to really exhausted all national ways of, litigation, and that the Belgian national legal system was really either unwilling or unable to deal with such a court case, because this is really going to be huge, that they were basically either unwilling or unable to deal with such an international court case, and that is why then we can go higher to a higher instance, and to either the European Court on Human Rights or the International Criminal Court in The Hague. That we'll have to see. But in any case, we are obliged to run it through the national legal system in Belgium first.
Okay, could you explain to the listening audience the total costs to join ICATOR and to participate in this lawsuit? Are they separate or are they combined?
Yeah, people can look at the ICATOR website, and there is actually a section that is called International Class Action. And there is a letter about the lawsuit to explain how it's going to go. And it is in different languages. We have it, I think, in English, we have it in French, and German, and Spanish, I think it's also on there now. But basically, to join ICATOR as a member, it is €60 annual membership fee. Don't know exactly how much this is in dollars, but there shouldn't be not too much difference, I think. And then to join the class action, it is €100. And sometimes, it's also mentioned in the letter, we also organize scanning, RF scannings here in the Faraday cage in a controlled environment, to provide our members with scientific evidence that they have been actually non-consensually implanted and that their bodies are emitting radio frequencies. And there we organize these events from time to time, and to participate in the scanning, it is €120. I'm at the moment in the process of organizing a new scanning event, because when we go already in view of this lawsuit, to provide hopefully as many people as we can with scientific evidence, we have organized a few of these scanning events already, since we're working with this research institute since 2017, I believe. We always had a few of our members come up positive in this controlled environment, and that means that they emit abnormal radio frequencies that should not be, the human body should not emit these radio frequencies. So I'm in the process of organizing a new scanning event as well, because especially if we go, we do the lawsuit now, it is in our interest to have as many people come up positive as we can, to have as much scientific evidence to present as we can. Of course, it is not, it depends on how you look on it. It's certainly not good news if people have been non-consensually implanted. But for the lawsuits, let's say it is good. So it is evidence that we can present. So this is basically it. It is 60 euros to join the association as a member per year, 100 euros to participate in the lawsuit, and 120 euros if you want to, participate in the scanning event and get scanned. The scanning events are done in Brussels, so I'm always surprised or amazed on how many international participants we have to these events and how far people come. We had participants that came from Australia. I don't know if he's listening. Craig Laforest is one of our board members who I would also like to thank, because he supported us financially quite a bit so that we could hold these scanning events. Then we had people coming from Japan. We had people coming from the UK. Alison, I'll give the floor to her pretty soon, because I don't want to dominate the whole show. Alison, for example, came from the UK. I mean, we had people from Spain. We had people from all over. I mean, it's quite amazing to see from how far people come. United States, we also had a few to get scanned here in Belgium. But these are the costs. Our lawyer had asked for a retaining fee. We're still fundraising, by the way, but he had asked for a retainer fee of 15,000 euros because to do a legal analysis about to decide how we go best about doing this lawsuit and what should be the strategy, what is the evidence. And we had started to fundraise, I think, in October to be able to collect the money for this retainer fee. And we haven't reached quite yet the 15,000 yet, but it doesn't matter, because our lawyer agreed to start on it at least when we had 10,000. So just before Christmas, which was a Merry Christmas for us, I transferred the first 10,000 to the lawyer. So, and they have already started now with the legal analysis, and we're holding meetings, and now we're going to organize this conference. So the rest we will keep on fundraising for the last 5,000, and we can pay that as we go along at a later date. But at least the important thing is that with the first 10,000, they were able to start the legal analysis and the legal process, which I think we all wanted to see happening as quickly as possible.
Will I have another question. Will the allocation of funds for just joining be applied to the lawsuit?
Of course, the 100 euros that people pay to be able to participate in the lawsuit, of course, this goes towards the lawsuit. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the people that join and will not be a part of the lawsuit their monies are still going towards the lawsuit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
No, actually, what I wanted to say is that there are two things. The members that give 100 euros to be part of the lawsuit are going to be part of the lawsuit. And if we receive donations, other donations, that people want to donate to this lawsuit, but are not part of it or do not want to be part of that, they just want to donate so we can use this money for the lawsuit, then of course when they say, well, these are funds that we donate for the lawsuit, they will also go to the lawsuit. But the members that have given the €100, they will automatically be part in this lawsuit as a victim, That means that the evidence will be looked at, and they will be part as a plaintiff or as a witness.
Okay. Do we have to provide, or actually, do you provide the blank affidavit, as I don't believe a U.S. affidavit would apply in your country? It may have.
No, indeed, you're right. Yeah. So the lawyer will provide that. We will receive forms for people to fill in. There's a part where they have to fill in the forms in their native language, and then we will create sworn translations. We need to do that as well. So, but it is going to be the lawyer's office that is going to provide these forms for everybody.
Okay.
For the affidavit, for sure.
Okay, so if you pay $100 to join, that goes towards the lawsuit. And if you pay $160 to be a part of the lawsuit, that's naturally going to go towards the lawsuit. So thank you for the clarification.
Sorry?
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. Okay, yeah, exactly. So that's how it's going to go.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Melanie. It's Midge. I'm sorry I'm late to the call. I have, hi, how are you?
I'm okay, surviving.
Yes, I know.
Since I've, this is really now taking shape, this lawsuit, I must say that the reprisal actions on me have been, pretty much increased. But still, I'm here, I'm surviving, and we'll, keep on going.
Okay, that's great. So, hoping and praying that, this is so successful, because this will be such a big win for everybody if you are successful. So I have a question, though, because, and forgive me if you've already answered this. So you talked about people getting scanned. You're scanning for implants, I'm assuming?
Yes. So, well, actually, we never say that we're scanning for implants. We're scanning for people's body emitting radio frequencies. But of course, in a controlled environment, in a Faraday cage, so that we can do very precise measurements. And of course, the human body should not emit these radio frequencies, so everybody can deduct for themselves what it means. But yeah, you're right. It's basically to locate illegally placed implants, medical implants there. For nanotechnology and neurotechnology. Yeah, correct.
Okay, so the scanning, I understand it's being done in a Faraday cage. That's really great, because I've been scanned, and so I know what that's like, that whole process, and it is quite shocking. It's when you realize that your body has been so violated. It's just quite shocking. So. Just so I understand and the listeners understand, so if they join, then the scanning is included in the price, or is that extra?
So we can only scan members. So you have to be a member to be so that we scan. But when we organize a scanning event, I usually get a lot of requests, and so I make lists of people that have requested to be scanned. And then it is a participation fee of 120 euros to get scanned. And the thing is that with the capacity at the university, we can usually only bring 10 people a day. I usually try to negotiate with them to, fit a few more in. Let's say big maximum 15 people. First we started off to do one day, but we have so many requests that the recent scanning events meant it was rather 2 days, and we have even more requests. I'd love to scan more, but let's say for capacity reasons at the university, we can scan 10 to 12 people, let's say, a day. And so once we have another date, we organize a new event. It is this is communicated via our website. There is a section. It's called RF scans, and I must say the scanning events are usually very quickly full, so we're obliged to allocate these seats on a first come first serve basis, basically. But so it's 120 euros per person per member to get scanned.
Gotcha. Okay. That's excellent. So then you're not only doing a lawsuit, but you're also providing information that people have been unconsensually implanted, and you're going to have evidence of that to present during the lawsuit, which is excellent.
The scanning reports. The idea was, first of all, to be able to, provide our members with some scientific evidence that this crime has to be done to them. When we go into the lawsuit, well, they have to allow us to use their scanning reports, of course, but I don't think that people will be against that, because it's all in their favor and in our favor. So we plan to use the reports of the people that came up positive in the predicate, but because we must say not everybody came up positive, we'd certainly use that, in the lawsuit.
Excellent. That's really great. So my other question is, okay, once you're scanned, and if you test positive that your body is emitting any type of radio frequency, are you guys identifying who owns those frequencies, or no?
Yeah, well, there is the frequencies are mentioned in the report, and the university has provided us with a table, so we can see to whom these frequencies are allocated. I must say, in my case, it's more the military frequencies. So, for example, so the system is in Belgium. It's a bit different, I think, than the United States. Is that we here in Belgium and in France, we have the same system, I think. We have the system of this investigating judge, which means that we as victims, as the plaintiffs, the Lawyers Association, can actually seize an investigating judge who has full power to conduct any investigations he or she sees fit. And so we will provide him with a certain amount of evidence, or because we also have people that have been scanned by a private investigator, for example. So in some cases, we even have the names of the perpetrators. And in the scanning, these scannings reports, of course, will also be part of the evidence. And he then has the ability also to do investigations to see to whom these frequencies are allocated. So we will provide a certain amount of evidence, but then as we seize this investigating judge, he himself will do investigations based on the elements that we provide him with. This is a system that is typically to Belgium and also to France, and some European countries have this system, not everybody, but Germany I think as well. And there was a lot of times they tried to do away with it because, they said, it's possibilities for the victim, or let's say a heightened possibilities for the victims to have an investigation run by a judge who has the authority to do that. They tried to get away with the system a lot because it is very favorable for the victims, let's say. But at the moment in Belgium we still have it, and we will certainly use it whilst it's still there.
Melanie, I have a question. Could you provide the listeners and myself with the name of the device and the model number that you are using to scan these people? Because a number of TIs do not have the money to buy such a device. And if this device is indeed effective, the Allen Institute would be interested in purchasing this device. And we will offer the scanning
we
free.
We do not have these devices. We use the devices at the university. So it's actually their Faraday cage. And it is actually them also that are performing the testing. So it's one of their engineers who's scanning the people, So it's actually the university's material. So
right, all this is very technical. I mean, I have been involved with some of the lawsuits that have been successful. It is so highly technical and scientific, and it does have to be done by a professional. So I clearly understand that that's how you guys are doing it. So that's excellent. That's really great. And
also, it is actually, I wanted this to be done by an external institute, let's say, that is kind of an authority in the matter, that can be considered experts, because if we, in terms of a lawsuit, if let's say we scan ourselves, victims scanning other victims, because there are like small RF detectors that you can actually buy via the internet. Unfortunately, within the lawsuit, this is not. It's not going to be valid to be, scientific evidence. Whereas if that comes from the technical university or a research institute, that is really considered a sound scientific report that we can use in court. But you're right, it's very technical. I must say, for example, I came up positive, of course. Well, in all the scannings, wherever I've been scanned in my life, I always came up positive. But I know it's not the case for everybody. And one of our German colleagues, Harald Brehm, who's also on the board, he got also his report, and I don't know, hopefully he will not be angry with me if I can say it was positive for him as well. But he said, well, I read it, and I didn't understand it. I mean, it was so technical, so difficult. It's the only thing I understood, and what this person at the university said, the professor, is that it's positive. But the actual information, the technical information, I don't understand it. I just understand that.
Right.
So it is true. It is pretty technical. This is also why we're looking,
very technical.
Why we're looking for technical experts, by the way, to support us in the lawsuit. But because the judge will certainly need, technical information.
Okay.
Right. No, it sounds like everything's being done correctly, because it is so highly technical and stuff. And the fact that everyone's being scanned in a Faraday cage is excellent, because if there's other TIs around, this is what I found when I was being scanned. We had other TIs there. And of course, everyone's emitting frequencies. So at one point, everyone had to hop in a car and drive far away, like a mile away, while that one person was being scanned for something very specific, because that person that was being scanned could not be subjected to the other people and what they were admitting, if that makes sense. I don't know if I said that right. Anyhow, so like it is very, I don't think people understand that sometimes. It's so technical and it must be done by a professional. Otherwise, it won't work in court. It just won't work. So it sounds like you're doing everything correctly. So that's really great.
Trying.
Oh, I know. It's a process, isn't it?
I'm a bit optimistic also about this lawsuit. I think we've never been that far, you know. And yeah, good feeling also with the lawyer. He seems very committed, very, and also he has a kind of a track record of suing the government. So it's definitely somebody, I think, very determined, very brave, very, you know, not to be intimidated, I think. And he's really, well, we last week we had another appointment in their office, and it was very clear that they were really sincerely committed to this, you know. So,
that's really good news.
It came out of the meeting. It was really a good feeling.
Excellent.
Yeah, pretty optimistic what concerns the lawsuit.
Yes, and excellent in finding this attorney, because it is quite the process to find an attorney that will take these cases and know about what's happening. So very good. That's great.
Yeah. But as I said, I do not want to monopolize the whole conversation. I think Alison is here too. Alison, I would like to thank her also, because she's been very, very helpful since she's on the board of ICATOR. She has been incredible, done incredible work, and so I'd like to give her a chance also to express herself, because she's been really, really a great support for me also in this whole process.
Thanks, Melanie.
Okay. Frank, can we bring on Alison?
Yes, she's unmuted and she is free to speak.
Oh.
Hi, thank you for that, Melanie. I don't know where to start. Melanie, you covered...
Can you speak up? You need...
Yeah, we can't hear you, Alison.
Is that any better?
Come up some more.
I don't think that I can. Is that any better?
Yeah, get as close to the mic as you can, I guess.
I am. I'm as close to it as I possibly can be.
Okay. All right, that's good.
Right, where do I start? Okay, well, I met Melanie quite early on in my attack and always planned on going to the scanning event last year in Belgium. It was held off due to COVID, so in the meantime I was gathering evidence and networking and researching. I made a few donations to help the scanning event along the way. Melanie kindly arranged for me to stay with another victim who had travelled from Japan. Her name is Toshiko, and she is now a board member of ICATOR as well. It was great to meet her. She was actually waiting for me outside the hotel. She got me a room next to hers. I got to know her. The scanning event went brilliantly. I wasn't expecting this, but I got to meet the lawyer while I was there. And I certainly didn't expect to be helping ICATOR, but I have been doing since around September, October as of last year. I feel very privileged and I'm welcome of being busy. It's a very welcome distraction from all the horribleness that comes with all of this. I've been basically organising publicity events like this, promoting lots of social media, posting. I've been doing a lot of legal research. I've been approaching a number of technical experts, helping with admin letters, doing lots of mail merges. I'll be travelling to Belgium again next month to help Melanie with some further admin that needs sorting out and to help with the scanning event. And the other thing is I've been speaking with a number of other victims organisations in an attempt to get groups from all over the world uniting and recruiting members and seeking those with evidence and just making sure that victims are aware that there is this opportunity so they can take part if they wish to do so. I've had a hell of a lot of people sending me evidence, some very, very sound medical evidence as well. I know that we have permission to say that ICATOR, the Spanish organization, has been uniting with us. And also recently I spoke with Solo Mavis of Peace Pink, and she's happy to unite and work with us in whatever way she can and is comfortable with. I think it's highly important to try and unite as many victims' organizations from around the world, show a worldwide united front. It will certainly help the lawsuit. That is about it in terms of what I've been doing and how I met Melanie. I could go into a little bit about my story, or I'm not sure. I became aware of my attack August 2020. It was horrific, and I could hear the voices of my neighbours bullying me, so I moved. The same thing happened, and the voices rapidly changed to those of people that I know. They claimed my brother was dead and it was my fault, and that they'd come together to implant me to make me kill myself. And I actually nearly died. I tried to commit suicide 4 times in 2 weeks. I shoved a knife through my neck and then was sectioned. My time in the hospital actually helped me. It helped me to calm down, come to terms with things, and start researching. I got out there mid-February last year, and then since then till now, I've been busy researching, networking, and collecting as much evidence as possible. I've been speaking with Mr. Barry Trower, and he's lovely. He's been very, very helpful. I'm in touch with a number of radio frequency professors in my area. I'm trying to get hold of access to a Faraday cage here in the UK. I'll know more about that in the next few months. I obtained quite some decent evidence by going to Amy Holm of Amy's Audios and the IHS to see a toxicologist. I've been faking a lot of falls, and I've nearly had all my body x-rayed. I've got MRI evidence. I'm due to have an fMRI, and this will show the areas of the brain that have been accessed by the attackers at the time of the scan, which is really decent medical evidence. I'm going to try and have 4 different FCC searches done, one with frequencies from audio, one from an EEG directly from my brain, one from a Faraday cage, and one from a physical scanning. I've done some blood tests here in the UK. I couldn't do bloods with the toxicologist based in America as I'm overseas. So I've been to a private hospital and had some tests done. I've had 6 done. I'm going to do another 12. That prompted me to type up a document with a blood test list and various laboratories you can contact around the world. And I believe that that will go up on the ICATOR website at some point soon once I've finished it and completed it. That will help victims to get tests wherever they are on Earth. They can be sent out by FedEx anywhere. And the last thing that I'm going to do is I've been put in touch with a deep web specialist. Now, the reports that I got from Amy Holm, they found evidence of me being live streamed on the deep web. And there are customers paying to log in to watch and attack me, paying with cryptocurrency. And we got a lot of information regarding that. So I'm definitely going to be paying for a deep web search. And hopefully he'll find something about me, as he's got a good starting point with the information from these reports. But if he doesn't, I'm going to try and get at least example websites that this live streaming does take place for the courtroom. I'm actually kind of looking forward to getting to that point, because then I'm going to stop with my evidence collecting, because it's been a non-stop year of just payments and stress. And then I'll be able to solely concentrate on helping ICATOR. And I believe that at some point I'll be possibly starting working for Amy Holm, because I'm a recording engineer. I would need a hell of a lot of training, because she's intimidatingly intelligent, and I'd need to know a lot more information. But in terms of sitting there and doing an audio analysis, I know that I can do that. I believe you'll all be aware of what Amy Holm does. She can capture the communications of your attackers in audio by analyzing it and using sort of noise reduction techniques and EQ. So I'm looking forward to that. That will be good. I mean, it will be horrific, but it will be good because I'll be helping people. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going to March next year. And that is basically my story. I think the only other thing that I'd like to say is that Amy found evidence of, there are 2 civilians that I know well involved in my attack, and they've made some pretty stupid and arrogant mistakes along the way. They thought I would be dead pretty quickly, and I nearly was. I'm glad I'm still here, because in my initial report from her, we've got one of these civilians talking on 2 occasions. Now, it needs cleaning up a hell of a lot, and then it would need to go to a voice printing specialist for legal purposes. Now, so long as it's not digital at the source, that basically means that that is this particular civilian actually talking. And if that's the case, then it is gold dust. It's absolute gold dust. At the moment, I'm just going to do these other blood tests here in the UK with this private hospital. And I got evidence from the US-based toxicologist that I've been seeing of hydrogel sensors in my bloodstream. So my plan is to go to my GP with the toxicologist on the phone and get the correct healthcare for free on the NHS. I've actually already got a decent note regarding this on my medical records. I've got abnormal cells in my cervix, and this is quite common for women. So I have to go for a yearly smear test. And I took my evidence reports from the US-based toxicologist and basically dictated to them and showed them the reports, and they took it very, very seriously. And they put a note on my medical records saying I've been exposed to some highly dangerous toxins and EMF, and that I'm at high risk, and that my smears need to be done 6 monthly rather than yearly. So I'm really, really happy with that outcome. The other thing is, Amy is working on a second report for me. I contacted the police, but I did it cleverly. I had the toxicologist and Amy and another victim and my private investigator on the phone. And basically, I recorded it, and that is the analysis that Amy is working on. And it's a really good idea because it will prove hacking of my phone, and it will also prove 4 counts of eavesdropping. That's myself, my PI, the other people involved, and one of those counts is on the police because there's a police officer on the phone. So there's a lot of information there. She also got the program that I'm in and a number of US agencies and departments, which I can't name right now, but it's given me the option to do some very thorough Freedom of Information Act requests. They will all be denied no matter how well that I do it, and then these can be subpoenaed for in the ICATOR lawsuit.
Allison.
So I'm happy. Yeah.
Did they tell you how they tested for hydrogels in your blood?
This was the US-based toxicologist from Integrative Health Systems. It is the only place on earth where you can have this test done. It's called an energy analysis or an advanced resonance test. And it found some quite shocking evidence. I mean, I remember reading it. This was very early on in my attack, or me being aware of it. And I was actually shaking when I read the report. It's very common. Most victims will have similar sort of toxic elements, metals and chemicals in their systems. But to actually get evidence of there being hydrogel sensors is fantastic. And what will back that up is me having the FCC searches done. And that's why I want to do 4 types of FCC search. It's basically going to bring the same evidence, but it's being gathered in 4 separate methods, 4 separate ways. So I'm just working my bum off to get as much credible evidence as possible. And I'll be submitting every single piece of it to the lawsuit. I spoke with my private investigator not so long ago. He used to work in the courts here in the UK, and I just wanted to ensure that my evidence would be safe, and it will be. It's all systems go. All systems go. Yeah.
Okay, I know that you said that you didn't want to take some questions, but I think these will be questions about your case.
That's fine.
And wait a minute now. What's the name of that place for testing that you mentioned that was exclusive, we'll say?
It's Integrative Health Systems, and it's a doctor named Dr. Staninger.
Integrated Health Systems. Okay.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah, I too have. She is great. I've had the same testing done at Listen with Integrative Health System, and it's shocking. You are absolutely correct. I was in shock for like 6 months. I couldn't believe what was inside my body, what had been done to me. So all of this is evidence. So you have collected some really great information. That's awesome.
Okay, the next question is from Kimberly. Okay, Kimberly, you are now unmuted.
Hi there. This is Kimberly. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Wonderful. I was sort of in line to ask a question in general question, as to how to, I just donated. I went on your site and it directs you to donate. And are we able to just combine the euros? So to do like 160 at one time, so that takes care of membership and the $100 towards the lawsuit.
Yes, of course you can. It makes more sense if people are going to do that. Yeah, that's not a problem at all. One thing we do try to ask is if people are willing, if they can use their name when they're making donations. It will make things easier when we're collating our members lists. But it's understood if people don't want to. But yeah, certainly people can donate for the payment for the lawsuit and the membership in one sitting. Not a problem at all.
Wonderful.
Yeah, if you can just put a communication saying this is a membership fee and the lawsuit participation. I'd also like to, it's mentioned in our letter in the international lawsuits section, is if you use GoFundMe, unfortunately they take commission. So
Yes.
You have to pay 10 euros more to make up for the commission fees, because usually, for example, if you want to send 60 euros for the membership fee, you'll have to wire 70 if using GoFundMe, because otherwise they take at least 10 euros commission. It's quite high, the commission fee they take. But the GoFundMe page does work, and we've always received the money.
Okay.
Just take the commission.
I have a question as well.
And sometimes they kind of collect all the donations, and then we get the money a few days later. But the money has always arrived. It is working.
Okay, did you file, when you opened your organization, did you open it as a nonprofit?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's registered with the Belgium Tribunal of Commerce as a not-for-profit association.
Oh, well, then that's a deduction. Okay, a couple other things. You talked about the scanning being done at the university. When is that paid for, and what is the schedule for that?
Well, it's actually according to their availabilities, usually I suggest a few dates, and then, for example, right now I'm waiting for them to come back to me to confirm when we can do the next scanning in March. I've asked for a few March dates, and as soon as the date is confirmed, we'll put the information on our website, and so people can register for the scanning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that that university is in Belgium?
Yes.
So that we would have to fly out and have it done there and sign up and
If you want to come to the testing, you have to come to Belgium. Yes.
Okay. And what's the turnaround on the results when they do the testing?
Well, usually it takes about 4 weeks to get the scanning reports.
Okay. Last question that I had in mind was, what is the timetable? What is the timeline on this lawsuit? It looks to me as though you've been collecting, a lot of funds, which is fantastic. You have a goal of $250,000.
No. No, in fact,
euros, I should say.
Explain that. No, when we started this organization, The board member who put up the GoFundMe page saw this as a general goal, for our association, all the projects. But in fact, for this lawsuit, we have to collect a retainer fee of 15,000. We have already had, sent the first 10,000 to the lawyer, and we're in the process of collecting 5,000 more. But what is on the GoFundMe page is not actually the fundraising goal for the lawsuit. It's when we started this organization in 2016, I think it was, we put up as a general goal for such an association to run all our projects, for running costs, for anything, But it's not. This is not the fundraising goal for the lawsuit.
I see.
Not at all.
Okay, so you've already given the lawyer $10,000 retainer.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're looking to give another 5,000. So you sort of you've opened the lawsuit.
Yes.
And what is the timetable then? What are you looking at? How is it plotted out?
The lawyer will say more during the conference about all this, but right now it's difficult to say because it'll really depend. If we win in the first instance, fine, looking at a couple of weeks or months maybe, but it really depends on, how the lawsuit is going to go. And it's also depending on when we hire the investigating judge. I say hire, but it's actually you seize him. It's, at least in French you say that. It depends also on what direction he'll give the investigation. What more evidence he might ask, or when he's going to plan the hearing of the victims. So it's difficult to set a timeline because it depends on, in which court we're going to win. Is it going to be the first instance? Is it going to be the Court of Appeal? Do we have to go to Strasbourg, to the European Court on Human Rights? Right now, I cannot tell. I just know myself that if you go to the European Court on Human Rights, it's minimum 3 years.
Okay, and that's the first place he goes?
No. It's the first place is he has to go to the tribunal of the first instance in Belgium.
Okay.
And if we win there, fine. Then we get a judgment in our favor, which is immediately valuable and valid in Belgium. So these weapons will be banned. And how do you say? With this judgment, should we win in the first instance, the other countries, you can use this judgment to obtain a similar judgment in your favor in your countries. But if we don't win in the first instance, we have to go to the Court of Appeal and so on and so forth, until we have really shown that we have exhausted all our national ways of litigation to get justice, and then we'll go to the European Court on Human Rights. So it's difficult for me now to say how long this lawsuit is going to run, because I cannot foresee in which court we were going to win.
Sure.
But I'm pretty sure we will win.
We absolutely. Nothing lasts forever, right? It's coming to a head. So the first court is somewhat of I would imagine, a superior court, being international, right? So has he already presented that, or is there a time frame on that first court representation?
No, first I said before we even go to court, we'll first have to collect 25,000 signatures to actually write to the parliament, to get this in the records of the parliament that we have posted this request. And then you can.
I see. And how close are you? How many signatures do you have?
Well, actually, as I told you, as I explained, we're doing this conference on the 20th of March, where we hope that Frank's going to help us again with promoting it and our other contacts that we have, radio hosts and so on. So the conference is going to be on the 20th of March at 8 o'clock. It's a Sunday, CET. So I don't know what this is in your time zone. It's going to be on Zoom, and the idea is to inform as many people, listeners, about this crime there and the lawsuit, and to collect. But it's going to be our lawyers association to collect the signatures there. So I'll send the link as soon as we have the link from the lawyer to the conference. I'll send it to everybody, to Frank, and we'll also put it on the website so that people can connect. And the collection of the signatures is going to start there.
Awesome. That sounds so great.
Yeah.
Sounds very positive. Thank you.
It sure does. It sounds very positive, and this will be a precedent for any future lawsuits, whether it's won or lost, but preferably if it wins, then it will be a precedent we can use. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly the idea. Because we need to create one precedent case where we have won. And I don't know, as I said, I don't know in which court we're going to win, but I'm pretty sure we're going to win. We need to create a precedent case in the justice system so that we can eventually obtain justice for all the victims around the globe. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're very right there, Frank. That's what we need. We need a precedent case, absolutely.
Okay, we have another question coming up, and this is Chapawee or Marilyn. Go ahead, Marilyn. You're unmuted.
Okay. Hello. I recently watched the University of Texas Southern Medical Center virtual conference about the Havana syndrome. Mm-hmm. And I put a question in the chat. Could the members, the keynote speakers, work with us, different leaders in the TI community, organizations like yours, to make a pamphlet for the medical community across the United States? And with a really big smile, he was like, "Oh, that's a great idea." And this would include, Europe also. So if like board members of your organization, Frank, Derek, who gave a really good testimony on your website. Your website's very beautiful, by the way. It's very beautiful. That would really help in pressuring our courts to understand that we're very serious, that these are causing medical issues for us, pain, suffering. It's cancer causing, it's destroying our bones, because when you get shot with dew, it goes through the area, whether it's your home or other, into your skin, through the bone, and out the other side. That's how that weapon works. So it leaves a pattern straight through the body. So it also, I had asked them about another TI that I think had that question, where could we go to get medical tests? And they suggested Walter Reed, which is military. And I know that TIs can go to Penn Medicine, Pennsylvania Medicine, where Dr. Douglas knows about us. And do you think that would help the court case? Because that wouldn't take much time to do something like that, considering that it's in the press.
I don't, maybe I didn't quite exactly understand what the question was, but regarding this medical seminar that was held yesterday, I personally did not attend it because I was in Germany yesterday, so I couldn't. I was on the road when this was held, but Alison attended, and for example, I saw that there was this psychotronic weapons expert that spoke, David Giordano, right? And I was thinking maybe we could approach him if he's interested to become one of our technical experts. I personally do not know him, but I know it's a very famous name. And maybe Alison can say a little bit more about this seminar, because she attended it. From what I understood when I talked to her about it with her, she said that it was not. It was a little rigged, the whole seminar. That it was more like a cover-up attempt, or possibly. I don't know. Maybe, Alison, can you give a bit your impressions about this seminar yesterday?
Yes, of course. So some of the people were very credible people who I believed could be approached for technical advice for the lawsuit, but also some of them. I spoke with some of the people regarding the keynote speakers of the seminar or webinar, and some of them are working for the organizations, departments and the like who are involved with this. So I think some of them possibly, but some of them definitely not, and we'd have to handle that very carefully because they were all speaking together. But in terms of how the webinar went, there were a lot of victims in there typing in the chat. I also typed in the chat. I only typed anything about my medical evidence. They responded to a number of civilians basically saying, look, this is happening to me. And I thought that was very, very positive. There were a lot of positives that came out of it. All I think is that in approaching some of the speakers, we need to be careful of the ones that we choose, because it's not clear as to how, sort of, for lack of a better word, rigged that it was. But generally, I found it actually very positive, because I attended the first one, which I think that was last year. It was last year. And it wasn't as positive, and they denied completely that this was happening to civilians. But on this particular webinar yesterday, they did acknowledge that it is happening to civilians. They went into Dr. Michael Ellis Hoffer, who has been diagnosing a number of civilians with Havana syndrome. So there were a lot of positives that came out of it, but I just think being careful about which particular people involved in it that we would approach for technical expert.
Right. Eric Rubin, who's an ambassador, he did say, we do have non-military government workers who are targeted, and he did advocate for us. And James Giordano did mention the fray effect weapon, because we did pressure them in the chat. And so there were some positive things about it. I was just kind of like thinking, because we all have to go to the doctor eventually for this kind of weapon being used in our bodies, that if these keynote speakers could just pass along a pamphlet that they would make with different organizations, they fund it, so, and it gets distributed to the medical community in our country, that when TIs go into ER or they go to the hospital, they will have on their computer a database of symptoms, and then they could check, and they would work with court cases, personal or collective or international groups trying to sue, because we do want to be compensated for this. This is 20, 30 years for a lot of people of being tortured. And I do think, I did put in that chat on that call, I said you need to address V2K and the synthetic voices and the real people that do communicate brain to brain. And that's when James did mention the fray effect. And I did say that the dirty little secret about the Havana syndrome is that people are hearing your thoughts, and that they're talking to you and they're terrorizing your brain. And I think many of the diplomats are not going to come forward about that because of shame, that they won't mention, oh, by the way, I hear people telling me awful things in my mind, like Derek worked for the NSA. A lot of whistleblowers have come forward, military people who have been abused verbally, psychologically with other people's thoughts. And I really, as a victim of that kind of crime, I really want the medical community to come forward, and I intend to pressure them. And I wish the other two guys would help me do this so that we're not sent to the psych ward, and that our court cases are more legitimate, because the judge would say, yes, we are aware that there is a weapon, and the medical community is going to help us do this. So the keynote speakers were Suzanne Kelly. She's the CEO of Cipher Brief. Greg Meyer, he's a national security correspondent for NPR. Ambassador Eric Rubin, the U.S. Department of State, and Jeffrey Staub, who's a psychiatrist and psychologist at the Mayo Clinic. And then at the end, James said to contact all the speakers if you have this problem. So you can send an email.
Okay, Marilyn.
Yeah.
We are trying to keep questions related strictly to this court case that is happening in Belgium. Your information
Oh, yeah, that's why I brought it up. I brought it up because if you can get a medical agreement that you are suffering, it would help your court case, because it's not hearsay.
very good.
Yeah.
Hearsay is going to be a big problem with us.
Mm-hmm.
Next question is Victoria Popova, Human Rights Libertad from Russia. Go ahead, Victoria. You're unmuted.
Good evening. It is Victoria Popova, Russian Federation, Human Rights Libertad, and Moscow Housing Ecology Committee. Well, thank you very much, Melanie and Alison, for assisting this meeting. I'm very happy for these things. I hope, I can go to Belgium to scan me. Yes, I don't know, because I don't want to take the jab, yes. It's very difficult. And yesterday, I donated for a membership, yes, that I could. It was a shame for me, because Russia has a very bad field of human rights. Almost we don't have human rights. We don't have human rights like in Europe or the United States. So it was for me very, it was a shame, yes. So I gave it money, and also I'm giving money to join, to have a membership of Targeted Massachusetts Pact and of VACTEC, because, for example, I lived in Spain and I speak very good Spanish. I translate Spanish and I prepare to very serious exams. Well, Melanie, these news are very good, and I think your president and the president that will be in the United States, yes, it will help us, for example, to me organize this, class action in Russia. But, Russia is like the third world, yes, and so I'm gathering the money. I do things, yes, to move it, and thank you very much. I was so very happy to join you, and the American organization who work in the field of protection civilians against the use of emitting directed energy weapons, and so unified we. Obviously we'll do it. Yes, it takes time, but it's okay. Thank you, Melanie, Alison, and all the participants. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria.
So I think I will come to Belgium if the things will go good. If things go good, I will come. Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, it would be great to meet you here, and especially if you're Russian. We just had in December a person join who lives here in Belgium, but is also from Russian origin. So we at ICATOR, we also try to make the members meet and put them in contact, especially if we know that we have one member from a certain region and another one joins that is nearby. We try to put them in touch. So definitely what I can, because you sent me an email today, I'll send you the coordinates of our other Russian member that lives here in Belgium, if she agrees. And
thank you very much. Thank you.
And if you come to Brussels, then hopefully you two can meet also, you know.
Yes, you know, Melanie, just quickly, because I don't like to speak a lot. Yes, you know, I don't want to take this shot. Yes, it's already dreadful, but I need to do, I think, I don't know, because I can go, I can fly without this shot, so I need to think these things, yes, and to scan, to unite and be a witness a Russian witness in this illegal proceedings in Belgium. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, next question is from Mark. Go ahead, Mark. I'll unmute you in a second.
Yes, I was just wanting to ask a few questions in relation to the medical records that she was talking about, and if we've been taken into a facility for observation. My period was to be for a 48-hour period, and there was a lot of abuses that were going on inside that facility. It was a county hospital, and they devoted 11, well, not actually 11 floors, but that facility had 14 floors, and we were on the 11th floor, and all the floors above were occupied by people that were abusive. And I just want to know any medical record of that my abuse and others. I didn't get names or anything, but that wouldn't be very difficult to achieve, I don't think.
Mark, what's your question, sir?
My question is, would the records coming out of that building and that episode be helpful to the cause?
Do you mean that you had been sectioned? You had been committed to a mental hospital, or?
Well, we were being observed, and I made a complaint to the police that I was being attacked by microwaves and soft lasers and stalking and
Mark, this is unrelated.
Hello?
This is about the law. Yeah. Can we stay on topic?
Yeah, I mean, maybe, well, it could be useful or helpful. Your name is Mark, right?
It was observation that that I was under, and they arrested me in an abusive manner, and I was injured. I was injured by them manhandling me.
Right.
What's your question, Mark?
What I want to say about that is that this, unfortunately, happens very often, that people go to the police to file complaint about their attacks, and then the first thing that the police do is basically transfer you to a mental hospital. So that happens so often, to get these false psychiatric diagnoses. So actually, I'd like to mention it. One of our board members, Fabrice, it just happened to him yesterday. So he had went to the police and filed a complaint, and he has been sectioned yesterday for at least 10 days, and then they'll decide, and he has to take forced medication. So this is something I want to make this a big deal about this in the lawsuit as well. We definitely have to point out these abusive medical arrests and locking people up in psychiatric wards abusively. So I think
yes, ma'am.
that will
Psychiatric ward.
The lawsuit dedicated to this, yeah.
The evaluation was supposed to be for a 48-hour period, and I was blowing the whistle loudly while I was in there, and they couldn't get me out of there fast enough after I started. I caught on that that might help me to get out quicker, and it did.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. We appreciate your input. Next question is Roseanne.
Hi, folks. Thank you for the report, and it's great to hear that there's progress on all of this. I wanted to mention the Havana Syndrome podcast yesterday because I was also on it. I think a transcript of the speakers and what they said might be useful in the court case. One of the things that several people said was that when looking at Havana Syndrome, they did not feel that this was a psychological condition. So that's one thing that came out. Another thing was at the very end of the conference, they all sort of spoke to each other, all, as a panel. And together they acknowledged that this was being directed at civilians. So, these are testimonies that I think would be useful in this court case. Because as we know, there's been a great deal of covering up of the situation with psychological abuse and basically naming the diplomats as the only people on Earth being hit with this technology, which we all know isn't true. So even if you do not engage the speakers directly, the transcript of the meeting might be valuable. And that's my point. Thank you.
Absolutely. And indeed, Alison told me yesterday that that was being said, that they admitted finally that there were also civilians being attacked by these weapons. I understood there would be a recording of this conference.
That's correct. And it's
I'd like to put it on our website, actually.
Yeah, we're waiting for it. It's supposed to be, I think, posted on, let's see, the University of Texas, the facility that hosted the conference. And I don't have that information in front of me, but we're all watching for it eagerly, and I'm sure it's going to go all over the world when it finally comes out. It was recorded, and everybody's going to want to hear this, and because it really was the first public indication that we're all telling the truth, and that we're not psychologically inept in any way. And these were very, very high-level professionals saying this. I mean, you couldn't get better. So as soon as that comes out, I'm sure it will be made public for all TIs to use. And, like I said, a transcript would be very valuable in this court case, especially from James Giordano.
Okay. We have part of it recorded. Elizabeth recorded some of it, and I was listening to it before the show, and she has enough information there to make it very interesting. And if you go on Twitter, she is at TIville, and that's one place. The other website, her website escapes me, but she puts it in the chat. Oh, it's on her YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, well, I'm hoping that someone else recorded it because it was quite damaging to those who are doing this. And that, my fear is that it's going to be hidden in some way or sabotaged. So I am hoping that other people recorded it because I think it was very, very valuable to our cause. Really valuable. In fact, the Frey effect was even mentioned, as a previous caller said. So thanks. I appreciate what you're doing, and we're going to get through this. Hang on, everybody.
We will win. And that
we will win. There you go.
That concludes. Okay, we have the next question is from Jen. And Jen, you can go ahead right now.
I had a question. I'm sort of a veteran with being a TI, and it gets very scary, but I remember, I don't remember this website, but I remember Mr. Duragard. I'm trying to remember names here. Or that's Lars Duragard. And
Lars, from Denmark.
Yes. And there was another man, and I'm trying to remember his name.
Jesse Beltran.
Yes, Jesse Beltran. And I was wondering what became of them because I wrote them about a year and a half ago, and I did not receive a reply, and I assumed that they just got removed. I mean, their website was just sort of taken down. And I heard that Jesse Beltran was not doing too well, and I'm sorry to hear about that. But when they have their website up, maybe Midge knows about this if she's listening. There was a police officer that was doing RF frequency here in the U.S. And that was the first time that I'd ever heard of that. And I would like to find a place in the U.S. where I could go and do that. I've been trying to collect. Yeah, I've been trying to collect evidence for years.
Send me an email. Send me an email, and I'll give you that information. I'll be happy to.
Okay.
And and if we could get back to talking about the lawsuit, I think that would be great. But send me an email.
Absolutely.
Oh, here's my email address. It is Midge, M-I-D-G-E, Mathis, M-A-T-H-I-S, @gmail.com.
Okay, thank you, Midge.
So, you betcha. Okay, thank you.
Midge, could you send that to me too? I would really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Okay, that concludes the calls for now. I mean, the questions. I'm sure some more will roll in. So if either Melanie or Allison would like to continue, that would be great.
Well, I'd like to go to bed because it's actually 20 to 5 now here in the morning. So, and I've got to get up early. Well, I was going to say tomorrow, but it's actually today. So I really enjoyed being here again. Thank you so much again, Frank, for inviting me a second time. I hope we can, as the lawsuit proceeds, do regular updates like this. I'll also send to Frank, and I'll also post it on our website once we have the Zoom link for the conference, for the legal conference on the 20th of March. If you could help us spread it, because
Yes,
the
we
more
can.
people attend,
We can join in.
We'll get these 25,000 signatures.
We can broadcast that. All we have to do is join Zoom, and we can actually. I don't even have to do that. All I need is the link, but that's okay. We'll be there. I want to see what's going on. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melanie. Get some sleep.
Bye-bye to everybody. Yeah.
Thank you.
We will win. Don't lose hope. We're really on a very, very good situation now. I think we've never been that far, and we will win and hopefully speak to you all very soon again.
Thank you, and good night, Melanie.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you, Melanie.
Bye. Good night, Melanie.
Okay, it looks like Midge and Allison have the floor.
What should we talk about, Midge?
Well, I think there's a lot with this lawsuit. I know because lawsuits have to be very specific. So it's such, these cases and everything it's such a broad spectrum, and not everything can be brought into the lawsuit because it's too much. So they do have to be very specific, and I would love to see everybody's story being told, but I know you guys can't do everybody's story. So people need to understand that,
Well, I met the lawyer, when we just had the one lawyer to begin with, when I went to Belgium last September. He actually stated that every single victim will be heard, and that's whether they're physically present or not. Right.
But they have to join. What I'm saying is not everybody can just submit their story and their story will be told. They have to join. And I wanted people to understand that because, not exactly, because you guys just can't do it all. I mean, that's not how you do a lawsuit. So people need to understand that they have to join, that they just cannot submit their story and that it will be brought forth in the lawsuit. That's not how it works.
No, unfortunately it doesn't. There is the cost issue. But obviously the more people we have that do have the funds available joining, the better chance we stand of winning this case. I'd just like to make it clear that people can pay in installments and over time if they need to. So I'd just like to make that clear. I've had quite a few people who've made like €20 payment and then another month another €20 payment. So that is a possibility. It's not a problem at all, because we do understand that victims can have serious financial difficulty. So if that is a help, then that is a possibility. It's not a problem for victims to pay in installments and over time.
Oh, that's excellent. That's really great. That does help, I'm sure, for a lot of people. It gets tricky being a TI, right? It gets real tricky.
Yeah, it's horrible. I myself have really calmed down now, but at the start of it, I just couldn't believe what was happening to me. It's absolutely disgusting, and I feel very, very positive about the way that this lawsuit is being handled and how it's been presented. What Melanie brought up about this conference that our Lawyers Association are going to do with between 60 and 80,000 followers. That's, I couldn't believe that when Melanie shared that with us. It's fantastic news, and the fact that victims can join to listen as well, and then this will be publicized is even better. And the way class actions work when they're a public interest case is we or any other victim, even if they're not a participant of the lawsuit, they can advertise the lawsuit, that it's taking place in any way, shape or form, And the other interesting fact is that the courts themselves are legally required to advertise this as well on a number of governing bodies' websites and in the media. So no matter what, this is going to generate a hell of a lot of awareness. And public interest cases are, well, for lack of a better word, sort of designed to give minority groups and communities of people, victims, a voice. The people who are generally unheard, they will be given a voice with it being a public interest case. There are so many factors that are just brilliant that are happening with this lawsuit. It's going so very well. I've had people emailing me from all over the world, and I try to reply to every single email, even if it's not related to the lawsuit. I'm just quite happy to help people. I've been referring people to like Amy Holm and various other places, pointing them in the right directions to where they can get medical evidence and tests done. Yeah, it's going incredibly well. It's fantastic. I feel myself very positive about it.
Well, I think it's just wonderful what you guys are doing, and I think you guys have a very good chance of being very successful.
I agree. I agree. It's just going really well. When I travel to Belgium next month, when we don't have the date for the scanning event, we're waiting to hear from the university, but that's when I'll be going through members lists and the like with Melanie. So we'll find out exactly how many people have joined. And I myself have had, I think, like 300 emails, 300 different people wanting to ask questions or to join. So yeah, like I said before, the more people taking part, the better chance we stand of winning. Melanie has been working so hard, and she has children and just basically never stops. And the other board members never stop either. Craig LaForest, our Australian representative, he actually asked me to give his number out on the show tonight. So I'm just bringing up an email, and I'm going to just share his number. If you can just bear with me.
Yeah, would like to have Craig as a guest before too long. You might want to mention that to him.
Of course I will.
He was on here as a guest on Republic Broadcasting, I think a year and a half ago.
Yeah, you and I interviewed him.
Yeah.
It was a great interview, yeah.
We did a lot of great interviews, Mitch.
I know. It was fun.
Okay, so I'm just about to put Craig LaForest number in the chat as he requested. I haven't known him long, as I've only been helping with ICATOR since last September. But he's a really great guy. He's really easy to talk to. He's just very kind. Okay, so there we go. That's Craig LaForest. I'll just put Australian ICATOR representative. There we go. So people are welcome to contact Craig LaForest if they wish to do so. I was just thinking I could talk about the TSCM side of things, because you were talking about it earlier, Midge. I've worked with spectrum analyzers before because I'm a recording engineer.
Okay, speak up if you can, hon, because there's people in the chat that cannot hear you.
Apologies, it's my phone. I've got a poor reception. It's actually snowing here right now. Yeah, so the TSCM side of things and being scanned for your frequencies, there are ways of doing it if you don't have access to a Faraday cage. It means using the correct methods. So it means the room that you're being scanned in, it needs to be scanned before and after you are present. This is known as finding the baselines, and it's also proving that the said frequencies being sent to the person are only present when the person is present in the room. You need to account for Wi-Fi and cellular activity, and it would be best to do two separate scans, one with yourself and just the person, and then another one with the person and their devices present, so laptop, tablet, mobile phone. This is because obviously, well, for those who don't know, your devices are being used to attack you. It would be a good idea to try and film it all, because there are things like burst transmissions and rare short events. The devices, whether they are larger chips or hydrogel sensors, are designed so covertly that sometimes they only transmit once a day back to the, well, attackers. So I myself am being scanned with a very powerful bug detector. It serves as a basic spectrum analyzer. It has a 20-point bar graph, whereas a decent spectrum analyzer will have a 100+ bar graph. So there are ways of doing it if you cannot access a Faraday cage, but like Mitch said earlier, you do need a professional doing this, so a radio frequency professor or a TSCM specialist. I myself am going to try and get a non-linear junction test, because last December I had a private investigator do a scan of my property, and on that particular day I saw two of the civilians that I know well for the first time in years outside of my property, and a group of other people that I've never seen before, and they had cameras, flight cases, audio devices, tripods, cables, they had it all. And I actually talked to them and then panicked and left, but it was them. And I now know that they rented a property in my building and they were using their see-through wall technology to film me. Now, that means that the devices that they had put up in my apartment are passive because they're not being picked up by a normal bug detector. So a non-linear junction test basically sends out its own signal and it activates passive devices so they can then be detected. Because it's giving out a signal of its own, it's classed as radiation. So TSCM specialists will normally only conduct a scan for 30 minutes. That is the equivalent to being on your phone for 30 minutes. So it's not that bad, but they have to cover themselves for like health and safety reasons, policy, procedure. So if people can contact a TSCM specialist, there are some in the States who know about the targeting program. I myself contacted one in the UK and didn't really go into targeting. I just sort of worded it differently. And I believe I may get a non-linear junction test and just maintain and basically demand that I stay in the room at the same time as it. So there are quite a few different ways that it can be done, because it is difficult to get hold of a Faraday cage. I just thought I'd share that information for people so that they might understand it and then know where they need to try and contact people for help with this particular thing. And then with any findings, you can contact again the right people for an FCC search and have these frequencies traced back to the source. I haven't had a proper FCC search yet. I've had a brief one done, and at least one of mine went back to NATO. So I think most victims will get similar results as well.
Yeah, it's quite shocking, like I mentioned. I mean, when you have this information in hand, it is shocking, but it's empowering, because then you know what has been done to you. And oh my gosh. Also, I've talked about this before, that the implants are owned by different companies, universities, you know, the spectrum is quite broad, but they're also, the implants are identifiable. They usually have a stamp on them identifying who owns that implant, because they're quite proud, because they're making money off of our bodies. And what I know about myself, I still have a hard time with it all. There are days where I just can't believe that somebody would have violated my body like that, non-consensually. You know, you go in for a surgery and you come out and this has happened to you. So my point is that this is very technical. And because I know people get frustrated and, you know, they just want to do something to see what's happened to their body, but it has to be done by a professional, and then a report has to be done to identify what exactly is in your body. Now, these frequencies, these implants and stuff all go through, it's called medical radio because these are medical implants. So it goes through med radio, which goes through the FCC. So, you know, this is massive. This is huge. It's so diabolical, that the ones that are involved. So, also, I just want to mention that the FCC also goes by, oh gosh, I do this every time I blank out, telecommunications relay system. So they do business under two different names, okay? Just to let you know in case you're doing any kind of research. The FCC also is telecommunications relay system. So just kind of thought I'd throw that out there. Yeah, because it helps when you have these key words sometimes, because you don't know what they're doing business under. And so a lot of companies like the FCC, they do business under this telecommunications relay system. And so it helps to have that information, which will lead you to more information. So that's kind of, you know, what I do, because I want to know if they do business under a different name, because these keywords, these government keywords are really important. If you're doing research about the weapons and you see the word payload, Payload, that is another word for these weapons. So if you see that is a huge key word that the government uses. So anyhow, that's kind of the stuff that I do. And it has led me to great information.
I didn't know some of that. I've actually just written it down. I appreciate that, Midge. And just going back to what you were saying, I completely agree with you. When I found out that I had hydrogel sensors in my bloodstream, I was absolutely shocked. And it took me back to a memory of when one of these particular civilians was with me. I don't think this person's involved in my attack anymore. I think after having access to me physically, he became surplus to requirements. But I remember the actual time that he put something in a drink. I can actually remember it, and I know that for a fact. And I absolutely agree with you. People's bodies are being violated in the most horrific kinds of ways. Some of the chemicals that I've found from the tests I've had done in my system are not just from damage from attacks, they're not just from exposure, they're from the hydrogels breaking down. Like I've had a carbon monoxide test done. When they start to break down, they can release carbon monoxide, and I've got quite a lot of it in my system. It can form when the polymers on the sensors of the hydrogels are breaking down in the body. So there's just so much bad happening to every single victim, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. I absolutely agree with you. I was very, very shocked when I got my test results at some of the things that are in my system. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And I'd just say thank you again for that information about the FCC, because some of that I didn't know. I have actually written that down.
Yeah. I mean, these, like I said, these are medical devices. They are considered medical devices. So just having that information that it's through medical radio might help you guys just to have that information. So
yeah, no,
it's just so unbelievable. I mean, if I were to tell everybody what I have in my body, which you all should be detoxing, because you can detox the stuff out of your system.
Midge,
so it's important.
Can you mention that letter that you got an answer to over the phone?
You mean the phone call?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can do. So I contacted the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. So if you want to file like a report, or if you want to file a complaint, it has to go through U.S. Department of Homeland Security. I thought it went through your state, so I was wrong. So I found out that you can actually call. So you can call this number and you can leave a message. And I was lucky enough that they actually called me back. I was shocked. So I did talk to a special agent. And he was very, very nice. I won't go into everything because some of it gets very personal. But basically, he was very nice. I said, this is human trafficking. And he said, well, this is how they define human trafficking with Department of Homeland Security. They said, are you being sexually exploited? Are you being a sex slave? And I said, no, nobody would want this body at this age. I was just trying to make a joke. And so he laughed. But so they consider human trafficking if you are being exploited sexually as a sex slave, or if you're being used physically as a slave. And that's how they define it. And, it's kind of it's a quagmire because, what do we know? It's a trial and error. So, like I said, he was very nice. He did know about the weapons. He did acknowledge the Havana syndrome. And I thought that was really great. You want to be pleasant. A lot of these folks have nothing to do with this. They're just trying to do their job. A lot of them are in the dark too. But I was just appreciative that I did get a phone call and that he was very, very nice. He didn't poo-poo anything. I just said, please Google Midge Mathis because, my pictures come up and all kinds of stuff. So he did. And he said, what happened to you? And so we briefly talked about that, but I just appreciated that so much. I'm sure it will go nowhere, but you can also do your FOIAs with the different government entities, and that's very important because that shows a paper trail that can be presented in a lawsuit, as I understand it. So there are different things that, we can do, but oftentimes we just don't know where to go because it is such a quagmire. And so I just felt very positive about the exchange that this agent and I had. And I was just very grateful. Excuse me, I haven't been very well lately. So anyhow, I was just very appreciative of his time. And we must remember that, like I said, a lot of these folks they don't know, about a lot of this stuff. They're just doing their job. And we must remember that, and we must remember to be pleasant. It's not our place to get upset with every single person that we talk to. I understand that we've been so violated. I mean, I could never have imagined this prior to targeting. I had no idea.
Yeah,
so anyhow, we just must remember to be pleasant and kind.
This is a wonderful time in your life, too, because you've got your kids, you've got your family all around you, and you have to be attacked all the time so that you don't feel like doing some of these things that you normally would. So that further throws you away from your family. But in your case, you've got a loving, wonderful family that's backing you throughout everything, and that's fantastic. It really is.
Who, me? Are you talking about me?
Yes.
Yes. Well, it hasn't always been that way. I mean, I've worked really hard to get my family back, and how I did that, because, once in a while somebody would kick out at me and kind of get sideways. Oh, my gosh, and they'll say something derogatory. Well, this is how I got my family back. I stopped talking about this. They are not responsible for putting me in this program. They're not responsible for, at least in my situation, not responsible for a lot of things. They're not, this is about the big guys. Who's doing this? Okay. I don't even care about the neighbors, to tell you the truth. Never, ever have I ever cared about the neighbors, because to me, I focus on the big names. But everybody's different. But so what happened was that, you know, I had to shower my love with my family, because I had to start looking at everything differently. In the beginning, I wanted everyone to understand what I was going through, and they simply cannot. There is no way that they can understand everything. So I wanted to hold them responsible somehow. They are not responsible. So I had to totally look at everything totally different. And I just come from a loving place with my family. They're my family. And I don't talk about this at all. And it's not to say they haven't seen things. I mean, you know, I remember sitting across from my daughter at Christmas dinner one day, and my face was burned off. And, you know, you have to keep your sense of humor. Our family has a wicked sense of humor. And my daughter, she looked at me and she goes, Mom, because I could see other family members kind of looking at each other. And I thought, okay, what's up? And she goes, Mom, just thought I'd tell you, you're flaking off into your Christmas dinner. Because my skin was flaking off because it was so burned. Well, you know what? We know what happened? That broke the ice, and everybody, including myself, started laughing, because how horrific to sit there and have to see your mother, her face burned off, and they don't understand this stuff. But yet, they're seeing the evidence. I mean, how diabolical. But anyhow, so we just turned it around. We just, you know, laughed, and it was just wonderful, and I just appreciate them doing that so much. And then you know what? We didn't talk about it, because you know what? As a family, we have better things to talk about. And so that's how I live my life.
That's a really good idea.
That's awesome, Midge. And I myself, my parents knew that I attempted suicide and was sectioned. And since I got out of the mental health hospital, I've just lied and acted normal. I actually talked my way out of the mental health system. But at some point, I am going to be telling my family. I'm going to have the help of the toxicologist helping me, hopefully Amy, a number of other people. And I've got some strong, sound evidence, but it will be difficult. My parents are from an elder generation; they won't understand. But I'm now actually hesitant. I can't remember if I said this earlier, but I've actually found out some information about my attack. I became aware of it August 2020, and I've only just started sharing this information because it was a bit of a shock at first. I know it's typical of the TI community, but I was interested and I analysed some audio from the year prior, and the audio was riddled with the V2K and the attackers' communications. So I went back further, and the farthest I've gone back to date is when I was 16, and the communications are there. So I've been in this program a hell of a lot longer without having any knowledge at all until August 2020. So it's led me to have some trust issues and think about my past. The two civilians involved in my attack, who I know very well, it doesn't change the pieces of evidence I have against them. They will be used in the lawsuit, but it probably means that they were placed in my life and they're not who I thought they were. And yes. I'm going to have to just think back, but I'm trying to sort of change my attitude towards it, because I've been making music and recording since I was around 12 or 13. And then there are family video holidays on old camcorder memory cards. So I'm going to send these to Amy Holem over time and have them analysed. And my attitude towards it is, at least I'll have sort of lifelong evidence. I'm going to try and go back to when I was a baby to figure out whether I've been in the program from birth. And I'll be able to narrow down who or when I was put into the program. And that was such a shock. I actually felt a bit silly, a bit naive about that. I should have been testing audio from further back sooner, but I was so adamant that it just started 2020. But yeah, I've just found that out. I've also recently found out that per victim, there can be anywhere in the region of between 20, 30 to 100 plus people involved in just one victim's attack. Like some of the information that I've gotten from Amy Holland's help, I mean, there's one piece of information that they're talking about the attackers. There's a load of customers logging in to pay to attack and watch me. And one of them states, I've got a sexual assault team. And then they go on to say some other things. So there's a team of at least 3 people involved in my attack, and their job is rape. And it's that simple. And I just think, what kind of person wants to do something like that?
Allie?
Yeah.
You have a question. Roseanne.
Okay.
Go ahead, Roseanne.
Hi. I want to make a comment, and then I have a couple of questions. My first comment is, Midge, we need a new meme that says non-consensual experimentation is human trafficking.
Yep.
I've just lost 11 years of my life, and I was also experimented on as a child, and I lost many years during that phase as well. And we need to get that message out somehow. So thank you for saying that. I don't know if we could get the government to agree with us, since they're probably behind the non-consensual experimentation, but it certainly is human trafficking. It is use of another person's life without their consent.
Keep in mind.
That's my comment. And by the way, I have shielding over my face right now. Because they're burning my face as I speak. Oh, yeah, we're having fun lately. But the question I have, but not to the extent, I've seen pictures of you, and now they're just trying to make me look really old and ugly, so nobody will care about me. But, that's not anything I care about too much. It's like, go ahead, have your fun. Anyways, the question was, who exactly are you suing over in Belgium?
Okay, so it's a Belgium-based case, and it is the Belgian government that we are prosecuting for not protecting citizens. As Melanie stated earlier, there is, with class actions, an opt-in and opt-out policy, which is similar in most countries. The opt-in policy is the important part. That is the part that will allow non-Belgian residents to participate in the lawsuit. Now, at this stage, it is just the Belgian government being sued, and we hope to set a legal precedent for the future and create new laws and try and have these weapons banned or at least regulated. But if it were to fail in Belgium, as Melanie also stated before, it would then go via appeal to the European Court of Human Rights or to the ICC, the International Criminal Court. Now, in this instance, all governments shown to be involved would then be applicable. So obviously we want it to win in Belgium, and it would take longer if it went to a high level, but that is how it would be dealt with, and those are the differences as to what would happen if it were to go to a higher level. The main difference is then that all governments would be applicable.
Do you have any legitimate press in Belgium that would cover this, or is it as bad as we have in the United States, where all our press is compromised?
Right, well, the lawyers, now that our lawyer is a part, well, he's actually the vice president of this association, they have between 60 and 80,000 followers. On March the 20th of this year, there will be a conference on Zoom, and the link will be sent out all over the world so people can listen. And it's basically going to be a presentation regarding ICATOR, ICATOR's history, about victims, what they endure, how the weapons systems work, and all that kind of information. And then the lawyer will speak and talk through how the lawsuit is going to go and give information. As Melanie said, we need 25,000 signatures to then send a petition to the Belgian Parliament. And this will be basically put online, and victims can listen to it. We can post it all over the internet, and it will generate awareness. The other
Okay.
fact is that with it being a public interest case, it's giving an unheard community a voice, and there will be advertising. And from what I've learned, there will be the courts advertising the lawsuit as well on various public body domains and websites. So that is one excellent factor of this lawsuit. It will be raising awareness. And this conference in particular, with there being 60 to 80,000 followers, and a lot of those people are lawyers themselves, it is absolutely fantastic news. It's just brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I will certainly do my. When that comes out, I'll certainly do my part to push it out there. I've got a blog that's really doing well all over the world. I mean, the statistics are great. So I will publish that conference as soon as I get my hands on it. And I'm sure everybody else will as well. Also, I've got a question for you, Frank. Where can I need to get all this testing done, and I need to raise funding and to do that. So I'm really interested in getting a recording of this particular call, and I'm wondering if you would send that out, because I get your emails, or if you don't, where could I find it?
You'll find it on YouTube. You'll find it on Mixcloud, but YouTube will be the most convenient for you. And
what? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Hold on a second. Just 1 minute. I just want to pull up my YouTube channel is https://www.youtube.com/c/targeted Massachusetts. One word.
Okay. Okay, great. All right, thank you very much. And this has been a very valuable call in that there's just been so much specific information about the testing. And, it's important stuff just to know where to go and what's important and that kind of thing. And I should have been taking notes, but, I'm trying to save my face at the moment, so...
Yeah, sure, Rose. We understand. I just want to say, Frank. Hey, Frank, if people just put in, I'm on YouTube right now. I just put in targeted Massachusetts, and all your stuff comes up.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's even easier. All right,
without
great.
having to put in all that. Okay.
Yeah, I'll look it up right now. And when will you be posting it, Frank?
Probably an hour or so after this concludes. So it will be posted all around, everywhere.
And do I have your permission to put it in my blog?
Yes, you do. It is educational. It is, you're part of the community, and, no problem.
Yeah. Well, the blog's doing so well. I look at the stats, and you can tell where all the countries that are affected. I'm getting hits from all over the world. It's unbelievable.
Okay. Tell us what your blog is. Elizabeth from the chat wants to know what your blog is.
Human Rights Watch. And when I picked that name, I didn't realize there was another organization of that name, but thus far they have not contacted me and caused me any trouble. But it is Human Rights Watch. I'll send, let's see, can I send a link to someone right now? And you can put it in the chat. I'm on a phone and on a computer.
You can send a link to... yes, you can send a link to frank@targetedmassachusetts.org.
Okay, I'll do that right now. It's a good, have a look at it. I cover everything, lots of extremely factual information. In fact, it's all factual. There is some personal story, but most of it's just stuff we can use.
Okay, we have a limited amount of time, Roseanne. If you would email that to me. Next question is Marilyn from Kettering, Ohio. Hold on one second. Roseanne, I'll be looking for that email, and I'll get that in the chat right away. Thank you.
Okay, so I wanted to kind of make a comment. That is a question about how to handle ourselves, our family in the future. And Midge does, she knows what that's like. We all know what it's like, and it's really hard. I watched a video today. Malcolm X's daughter talked about the assassination. Now, his daughters were present during his assassination, and our children and family members are present when this happens or did happen or will. So they're doing it in front of our families. And I'm quoting her because of the conspiracy behind it, that she said it doesn't matter who pulled the trigger, what matters is who organized the assassination. And he had been followed, just like we are. We get stalked and followed by some form of government agency. And then they assess it, they stalk the family, they monitor, they listen. Now they can listen to your thoughts or your computer or whatever. And right. Oh, shoot, the V2K sometimes messes with me. So the shock of it that your children will eventually know, but also that many children who end up growing up and turning into adults or the relatives of may end up fighting for our cause out of sympathy, like the Holocaust, apartheid, the civil rights movement. A lot of the Black Lives Matter is because, they are the grandchildren of the slaves. They're not actually enduring anything traumatic, which I find really odd. They're still raging and having a really excellent life. So, one day this will all come out and it will be public knowledge, and there will be new adults that will represent our cause. They will say, my grandmother was a targeted individual, and she suffered awful, and she protected us, she took care of us, and her name was Midge, or so on and so on. And so I feel sorry for Malcolm's children, and she was so eloquent and graceful in this video. I put it in the chat a couple times. You should watch it. It's by this company. They do a lot of political videos. Her name is Ayasha Shabazz. She's really beautiful and intelligent. And so your family, whether you tell them or not, they might end up representing you. And I have noticed that children of victims of human rights violations, sometimes they do come forward. So you do want to journal, you want to take pictures, you want to have a website, you want to leave a legacy, and you want to show positive things for your family, because who knows, they might end up in the press talking about you. Like Robert Duncan might end up having relatives, or some of the bigger names are in the TI community or not, even people who are not known at all. All the YouTube videos, I'm having a personal issue with reality. I'm disconnecting, which I thought would never happen. So I'm not really in the present. I'm in a total V2K fog. And I have every intention of leaving my journals and stuff to the people in my family who are children, because I don't want to die or get murdered like Malcolm X, because they do believe the CIA was behind it, and a lot of us think the CIA, this is a corrupt organization that recruits really young psychopaths. And in that call yesterday, I said, they should have psychopathic tests for people who are going for specific careers. Like, you shouldn't just hire anybody because they passed their test scores at some university that, are they dangerous for the company or the country? And this is a massive population, and a larger percentage of people are psychotic versus the time when her father was alive, Malcolm. So when they recruit from the street level, like the street level perps, these are the people involved in his murder. Like the CIA finds corrupt blacks who are jealous, envious people that hate empathic, beautiful people with good souls. Like, you can be poor and have a great soul because it attracts a lot of positive attention. And you'll see growing up poor, it just happened to me, that people, like, they're jealous that you have a light inside of you. And if enough people tell them that you're a bad person, like the pedophilia example, they like to use that, or you're a terrorist, or whatever they use to get people to come after you. These are, local poor trash in your neighborhood. Tell us about Martin Luther King. Like, has he ever done anything wrong? And they go up to people and talk. They use the same tactics that they used in the 60s and probably for thousands of years. So I don't really have a question. I just wanted to say that if you listen to Malcolm's daughter, Mitch is a good example of how to present yourself. Because I'm quite aggressive. Like, I wanted to be Angela Davis, but, that didn't really, I chose watercoloring instead. And still, I know that they were watching me develop my brain. They were monitoring my existence in Ohio, and it was militant. It was definitely militant. And the things I came up with, I was involved in contemplating the anarchist movement, like as a teenager.
Hey, Marilyn?
Yeah.
Marilyn? Yeah. Is there a point to all this? Because I have a question for Allison about the lawsuit.
Oh, yeah. So the lawsuit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope
okay.
That, it's a success. And if you had any suggestions for Americans, if they had a lawsuit similar to yours, what they could do if they are targeted for political reasons.
Who are you addressing that to?
Allison.
Oh. Is she still on, Frank?
She should be.
I'm here. Apologies.
There you are.
Yeah, my apologies. My connection is terrible right now. Could I please ask for you to repeat the question?
If some of the TIs are targeted for political reasons, and if they believe that to be the case, if they're going to have a separate court case, any court case in general, but your court case, do you have people that are targeted because they were politically outside the box of that country in Europe? Are these people that are going to be on this court case in Europe, are any of them like political TIs? You know what I mean?
I myself right now, I'm not sure that I can actually answer that question. Personally, I haven't been contacted by anybody who is political and who is a victim. It's something that I would have to talk to the other board members about. But if there are some, it would be useful, and it would be very, very useful for the lawsuit. I personally would really like to try and contact some of the diplomats and embassy staff members whom have been hit, but I doubt that they would want to participate in something like this. So
Right.
if you don't mind, I will get some clarification on that, and I can bring that up at the next time that we're on Frank's show. I wouldn't want to go into any detail without the correct information, and I really do apologize that I've not got an actual answer for that. I do know exactly what you mean, and it would be very useful for the lawsuit. I just need to go away and clarify that for you. But what I've done is I've made a note of it, and I will make sure that I clarify that and bring it up at the next show. And I hope that that's okay for you.
Yes, thank you. And yeah, Julian Assange, I think, would probably be classified as someone who's targeted for something like that. And I do think that he's got V2K, that they're doing hallucinations, and he's claiming that he's hearing voices in his head telling him things.
I have a question for Allison. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
Well, this is
Go
about.
ahead.
Okay, this is about evidence for the lawsuit, because sometimes through integrative health systems, you can do a patch test and the hair analysis test, which identifies different things that have been done to you as far as poisons and so forth and so on. So it identifies different, and it's shocking because I had that done too. I don't know if you've had that done, Allison. But it is shocking. If people, okay, you have, so you know what I'm talking about. So, okay, will people be able to use that also as evidence? Because it is pretty horrific. Yeah, it is pretty horrific.
Yes, they will be able to do so. I myself am going to be submitting every single piece of evidence that I've gotten, and 6 pieces of the evidence I've obtained are from there, and I will definitely be submitting it. One of my primary concerns in the last year that I've been doing evidence collection was to obtain as much serious medical evidence as humanly possible, because it is some of the best some of the best evidence that could possibly be submitted. So like scans, x-rays, if people go to integrative health systems, if you go to a private hospital, if whatever method, and depending on the country's health system service that they have, yes, definitely medical evidence is absolutely fine. I've had victims sending me evidence via email, and I've stored it all safely on a hard drive. I've had photographs, I've had videos, I've had medical evidence, I've had Havana syndrome diagnosis, I've had medical reports. Some people have sent me affidavits. I've had all sorts. So I think at this time, it's a case of send your evidence, and what will happen during the lawsuit is there'll be a discovery period, or more commonly known as an investigation period, where the lawyers will go through all of the evidence with a fine-tooth comb, and they will decide what is suitable and what is not. But yes, absolutely, medical evidence of that sort obtained from anywhere. It doesn't have to just be from integrative health systems. But yes, it's more than welcome, and it's what I personally would consider to be decent evidence as well.
Okay, excellent. Well, you know, integrative health system is a whole system of doctors outside managed care. So you can look for an integrative health doctor in your area. You just have to Google it. So it's not just, you know, Hildy, Dr. Staniger. So these integrative health doctors are phenomenal, I think, because their hands are not tied by managed care, and they're not beholden to this awful system. The medical field is nothing like what it used to be when I was in medicine. With that being said, I want to just put this information, because, you know, I like to come to these calls with information. So I'm always paying attention, and I'm in contact with a lot of different people, just not TIs. So there are, you know, you all have heard about the frontline doctors, and they're all whistleblowers about, you know, what's been going on with, I call it CVID. But just to let you know that they have started, okay, Dr. Simone Gold, who is excellent, and she's a whistleblower. she put this out there the other day that the frontline doctors are starting their own healthcare system. It is called Gold Care Health and Wellness Centers. So that is in the process of getting up and going. And I thought this was really good because a lot of doctors are defecting from the managed care system. And so that's oftentimes where we can get, more things done or more information. And it's really great to see this happen. It's been needing to happen for a long, long time. At one point, there were 5 of us going to the same doctor here in Arizona, who is part of that integrative health system, who is a naturopath, MD. And it's really great when you can do that buddy system and several people go to the same doctor in your area, because that just adds validity to what you are saying. Because some of these doctors don't know. They really don't. They don't, the managed care system is so massive that a lot of doctors just don't have a clue. So we'd have to slowly educate them. But it is happening, because what's really exciting is that continuing education for professionals now includes a lot of this information in order for them to retain their license. They just had a huge webinar like 8 months ago, and I was invited to attend, and it was about professionals, attorneys, doctors, you name it, and it was about EMFs. So they no longer can claim they don't know about it, but this is part of their continuing education program now in order to retain their license. This is huge, huge, huge. It was Professor Curtis Bennett in British Columbia, who I was so lucky to meet many years ago. He has been pushing for this, and it is finally happening, so that these professionals can no longer say, oh, I don't know what that's about. No, it's going to be part of their education system. So this is really huge.
I didn't know that. I've just actually written all of that down. That's very interesting to know. It's not the same here in the UK because we have the National Health Service. But when I realised, when I was told by Dr. Stanninger that I couldn't do bloods with her as I'm overseas, like I said earlier, I tried to find a way of doing the bloods here in the UK. Now, I pretended to be somebody else, and I rang the laboratory where my GP's surgery send blood samples to for testing. And I actually spoke with a lab technician for about an hour and went through every single test that is relevant for victims, for TIs. And he was really kind. He went through every single test. He just thought I was doing research, and I think that's the only reason he spoke to me. But he went through every single test, and the heavy metals test, or the toxic metals test that we have on the NHS, it tests for just 8 metals, whereas the test that I did tested for around 70, I believe, or 60. They're not extensive at all. So I'm really pleased that I managed to go to this private hospital. It was very costly, and I was able to do 6 tests at once. So I'm going back there in a few weeks and doing another 6.
Very good.
And I'm just glad that I found a way. Yeah, and I think I mentioned this earlier, but I have done a bloods and home test kits document, which will go up on the ICATOR website at some point. So when that's up there, I'm going to tweet it out so that people can just have a look at it. There are the tests names, different names for them and abbreviations, description about what the tests are generally, and then also what they mean specifically for victims. And then there's links to various laboratories where you can buy the tests, and they will be sent out to you via FedEx. You can also access the same laboratories on almost any other site. They're using the same laboratories, so they have the cost of the test and the FedEx price included in one, instead of you having to do it separate, which unfortunately I did at first because I didn't have this information. So yeah, it's also got instructions as to what to expect and which tests are going to find different things because you're testing for damage, you're testing for evidence of implants or hydrogel sensors, you're testing for exposure, and just a number of different factors. So I'm really pleased with this document, and it's been given the okay by a professional. So I'm hoping that will be up on the ICATOR website soon. I think it will be helpful for the victims who don't know much about this and are not aware. And it will translate to other countries. I've not been able to sit here and research per country, but the names are there in the descriptions, and then there's instructions to basically Google it and look into how your country's healthcare system works, or if you need to go private, or if you need to order the tests from these laboratories. So I'm hoping that will prove helpful for victims when it gets up there. It's taken me some time because I want it to be absolutely perfect, and I don't want to give any false information. But I'm hoping that it will be very helpful for people.
Oh, very good, Allison. You've done a lot of work.
Thank you. I don't really know what to say to that other than just thank you. It's very kind.
Midge, we have to join Allie on Roy's Sunday call, his Zoom meeting.
You mean Roy in the UK?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You sound excited.
I've not ever been on his call, but I know who Roy is.
Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. Okay. We'll move on. She has another question. And if you guys are all through, sorry to interrupt, but...
Well, I just want to say one more thing really quick, because Allison is going about this the right way.
Yes.
I mean, if you can, and you have to, because we've talked about it, how technical it is and how scientific it is. And so I am very impressed what you have done, Allison, and all the tests and the proof of the violations that you have in your body. I mean, it's just incredible. So you should feel so good about your hard work, because it does take work. And then you go through that shock system. If I could suggest anything to the community, if you can do a hair analysis test and the patch test, if that's all you can do, please do that, because that is evidence. It is incredible evidence of the violations that have been done to your body without your consent. And as Allison can attest, it is shocking. So, you know what? I think you've done an amazing job.
Right. Every time you are attacked, certain chemicals are produced. And these chemicals are self-evident within your hair.
Excuse me. Yes, exactly, because everything excretes out of your hair. So if you've been poisoned and everything, it comes out through your hair. It will oftentimes come out through your feet as well. So that's why you do a patch test, or your spine. So when you get the patch test, you put it at the base of your spine or the bottom of your feet. But it's amazing what your hair, it is actually, you know, it tells you what's in your body. It's incredible. There was one other thing I was going to say, and I can't remember what I was going to say, Allison. oh gosh, I hate that. Oh darn. Oh well, it'll come back to me, I'm sure. Eventually.
I don't know what to say to your comments. I don't mean that in a rude way. I'm just kind of shocked that people are saying things like that. I honestly don't know what to say other than just thank you and bless you for saying something so kind. And I think that you're absolutely correct. Those particular tests are incredibly important and seem to find some of the best evidence going. There's only one thing that I would add to it, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying this, but if people can contact Amy Holum of amysaudios.com, you will also get some superb evidence from her. I'll just give a brief description. I think I did earlier, but basically in audio of you recording yourself, either asleep, out and about, sat in silence, a phone call. Your attacker's communications are captured within that audio. You can get statements and comments and sentences, and you can get a world of information from the reports that she does. So if people have the means and are wanting to get some decent evidence, you can also contact Amy Holan and get a report from her, which is also superb evidence. And yeah, I don't know what to say to your comments. Thank you. That's just so kind. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's, you know, we all need to praise and thank each other because everyone's working very hard. And I am amazed at some of the stuff that, you know, people have done in this community despite their targeting. It's amazing that we're still here. It's amazing that we're still going forward. This stuff is breaking loose, you guys. And I you know, I say this every time I come on the call. I think with what is happening, you know, with the truckers and all that, people are fed up, all right? They might not be a TI, but they're fed up, and we are fed up. No one had the right to do this to us. No one has the right to target anyone. This is so diabolical. And I know it's hard to be targeted and to continue to go forward. But the best thing I think you can do in order to keep yourself together is that you develop that buddy system. Develop a good friend in the community. You're having a bad day, call them up. Hey, listen, I was having a really bad day just a couple of days ago. And it happens, right? We can't always be, you know, up. But, and so Karen Stewart was so lovely. She said a prayer and she sent me something that was very wonderful. And I would like to read it if I can. Do you guys mind if I read what Karen sent to me the other day? Is that okay?
Go right ahead. Go right ahead. We all love Karen.
Well, you know, she is quite an amazing lady, and I've been friends with her for a long, long time. So let me just read you briefly. This is what she sent. I thought this, you know, because I have a lot of people send me things, but this really hit with our plight of what, you know, we're going through. So let me just read this. It's not long. I dream of never being called resilient again in my life. I'm exhausted by strength. I want support. I want softness. I want ease. I want to be amongst kin, not patted on the back for how well I take a hit or how many. So that's it. But I thought it was so profound, those words, because we're all tired, and I understand that. So if anybody would like me to send this to them, I'd be happy to do it, because I've been reading this to myself every single day since Karen sent it to me. And, you know, we have to keep pushing forward. We are on the brink of the floodgates opening wide open, and I am very encouraged, Allison, with what you guys are doing. And I'm going to pray because I believe in prayer, pray with all my might that you guys are so successful and that you will set a precedent in the case. And I will pray for protection for this attorney. He sounds really great. There are more attorneys coming forward. There is an attorney, Attorney Mark Zaid, that is handling the Havana Syndrome lawsuits, and he is in Washington, D.C. I don't know if some of you guys know about that. So
I know of him. I saw his NBC video referring to the NSA and speaking about the diplomats. I think that's awesome. And that thing that Karen Stewart sent you is beautiful. It's quite rather moving. And I absolutely agree with you. The way that this lawsuit is being handled, the fact that anyone anywhere on earth can take part, even if they have no evidence, the fact that it's public interest, the fact that our community is going to be given voice, and it's going to raise awareness. This conference with between 60 and 80,000 people, a lot of which are lawyers. All these factors are just so promising. And this lawyer, when I met him, and then since with all the news that Melanie gives, because it's mainly her going to the meetings in person, it's just, he seems incredibly committed. And the association that he's now a part of, I take it so seriously. We just need as many people joining as we possibly can get.
Okay, we have Jen. Jen would like to ask a question. And Jen, you're unmuted.
I had a question for Allison. I have been in a situation in the U.S. where I've realized that my whole family has been under scrutiny and targeting without their knowledge. And of course, when my targeting got turned on in '95, it was like a bomb going off one morning. And in England, do you find that this is a family situation? Does targeting run in families? And also, do TIs talk about child programming in England? Because I find that this is just like the worst part of this war is on families and children, and there's such terrible discreditation campaigns. I've been through a terrible discreditation campaign and been framed very badly, and there's a lot of police involvement in the U.S., police being a part of this thing, and I guess receiving benefits. And is that sort of thing going on in England a lot?
Yes, it is. I've met a lot of UK victims, and a lot of them have said that their families have been destroyed. A lot of them say that elder relatives are being targeted and they just don't understand and they can't cope with it. I've heard a lot of people say that they've been in the program from birth. I myself, as I said earlier, have recently found out that I've been in the program a hell of a lot longer than I thought. It's led me to think all sorts of things. Like, a lot of victims are chosen because of their family history and their DNA. I also know that a lot of victims are chosen just because of their nature. For example, creative people, because they have vivid imaginations, they're going to be interesting test subjects. I am a very creative person. I'm a musician and a recording engineer, and I have prior existing severe mental health issues from childhood trauma. So I think that some people can be chosen. I've also, now that I've realized that I've been in the program a lot longer, I need to have files analyzed going further back to figure out how long I've been in it. But I was sexually abused by a family member when I was 5 or 6 years old. I'm starting to think that this family member may have been programmed to do that. What I'm actually going to do is, I've got a lot of sort of spy audio equipment, like spy USB pens and the like. I'm actually going to, when I see my parents on Tuesday, I'm going to just hide it and leave it there running after I go. And then hopefully they won't find it. And I'll collect that the next time I see them. Or if they do find it, they'll probably just think it's a USB pen. And then I'm going to analyze the audio. I want to know if my family are being targeted. I've not ever had any inkling that they are going through anything. But having said that, I have been in this program from at least 16 years old and had not a clue until August 2020. So, I mean, that says a lot, doesn't it? That there are people out there who are in this program and they are only being monitored and they don't know. So how many people are actually in the program? It's colossal.
Have you ever heard of Smart News and Neil Brick, who has
no.
he has a newsletter and a website for trauma-based mind control on children, and it's just a horrendous thing. It's just. Have you ever heard of Smart News and Neil Brick, who runs that?
No, I haven't. I'm actually just writing that down, and I appreciate that. I'll be looking that up. What was his name? Sorry.
Neil Brick.
Brick.
And it's trauma-based mind control on children. Just.
Oh, you know who's excellent too is Kathy O'Brien. Kathy O'Brien. Oh my gosh, her story, and she's all she has her own website, and the work that she has done, she's been so brave to talk about this. So she's another great person to follow about this. But I'm like you, Allison. Last year, it was validated that I have been in this program since I was very young. And what happened is I went to a dentist, and they were taking x-rays, and lo and behold, and they showed me there's an implant that was implanted in my jaw. And that was done many years ago by the Navy when I had oral surgery. And shocking to know that's, they violated me when I was, I had to have been 21 years old. So it's like, who has the right to do this? And I know a lot of us feel like our life has been stolen. And in many ways it has. But, if we can kind of keep each other built up, we can't let anyone fall. We want to all get across the finish line together, holding hands going across that line. And, this will go down in the history books, and the kids will find out about it. The younger generation, I have a lot of hope for them. I think they're going to do great things. I think they're curious. They know a lot of stuff. I've heard, because I used to teach, and so I've heard kids talk about conspiracy theories and all kinds of things. So the kids are in tune, and they've got, all the information about a lot of this stuff at their fingertips. So a lot of these kids are way more aware than what we give them credit for. And so I have great hope in this younger generation. I really do.
Midge, we have a question here, and it is Becky Pritchett. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Go ahead, Becky.
Oh, well, I think Midge just answered it. I was just going to ask, I know you used to think that your ex-husband got you signed up for this program, but you just answered that you must think it started way before then, huh?
That was the first husband, actually.
Oh, okay. So you think he had something to do with it? Or?
No, I know for a fact. And then the second husband just kind of took off where the first one left off because he's heavily involved in all this.
Yeah, so. Midge is Miss Henry VIII.
Well, we all attract certain types of the opposite sex. So I obviously attract psychopaths and liars. Which is not good.
I really think that my ex-boyfriend, I think, was the one who signed me up for this, and he's, in a city position, and one of the men's men type, that probably goes, I know he goes to men's meetings and stuff, so, they're all connected with the police and the fire department and the, ambulance, they're all in cahoots with one another.
Well, I
guess that explains why.
I have evidence of this. I had a really brave doctor who gave me the information that a lot of us are put under. It's called enhanced surveillance. And there again, the government likes keywords. So I was given this information one day, and I just will forever be so grateful to this doctor that stuck her neck out for me. And so it's called enhanced surveillance, and it's through the managed care medical system. It's through U.S. Department of Health Services. So they're putting people under this enhanced surveillance. And I was just so in disbelief, but that led me to a lot of information. So one day I'm on the phone, and I'm on the phone with the producer of a major show out of a podcast out of Dallas, Texas, and I'm talking and he's typing, and I said enhanced, and he put that in, and up came the executive orders for COVID before COVID was even really much of anything. So I had the executive order for that right away. But if you will Google enhanced surveillance, you will get a lot of information. So I have the executive order about this enhanced surveillance with my governor's signature on it. And on the second page, it lists every single entity that is involved in this. So I wound up confronting a doctor, and he told me this. He said there's a lot of good people who are caught in the middle, and this is not what they signed up for. And
it's just because my ex-boyfriend has it in for me.
Well, these lists are corrupted. These lists are corrupted. So if you guys will just Google enhanced surveillance, so this is so diabolical also, but you'll get a lot of information. Like I said, the government uses keywords, and this is one of them.
And you said also the other thing was Managed Health Network. Is that what was it called?
Well,
the other,
if you have insurance, and it started with Obamacare. If you have managed care, it's called managed care, but it's just, it's just in your insurance plan, but it usually is with Obamacare. So it's all involved.
Okay, I'll write that down. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. I'll mute now. Okay, thanks.
Okay, next, Elizabeth. Go right ahead, Elizabeth.
Hey, can you hear me?
Sure can.
I actually just have a request, and it's for Becky. I had a lady contact me on the after call yesterday. She heard you on Ella's call, and she wants to connect with you. So if you could write my email down, and I can send you her information so y'all can, connect or communicate. And my email is elizabeth@cybernewsjournal.com. So it's spelled with a Z, ELIZABETH, at cyber, CYBER, news, NEWS, journal, JOURNAL.com. So I just wanted to let Becky know that. So I'll wait on your email so I can send it to her.
Is this Lizzie?
This is me. Yep.
Oh, listen, good to hear your voice. Yep. Hi, hon. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm quilting away, listening to you guys. So I really enjoyed listening to you.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So it's so nice, it's great to have somebody new come on and be a moderator. Frank and I were talking about this. It's just wonderful. Some of us are just tired.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not speaking about you, Frank. I'm talking about myself. So,
we're all tired.
It's just nice to have new blood. So God bless you for, having a call, because it takes, time and dedication.
Certainly does.
Yep.
And she does a great job, too.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. That's all I had to ask. So, thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Liz. Okay, next we have Roseanne. Roseanne, go ahead.
Hi. Oh boy, I'm going to get into this conversation.
Roseanne, you're only allowed to come on and talk twice. That's it. I'm joking. What? I'm joking.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to make it because I like to make everybody laugh, right? I want everyone to feel good.
I love humor. Listen, I love humor. Thank you. I had to get into this conversation about the childhood thing, though, because one of the things that happened to me during my targeting, it was revealed that I was a target from childhood. And I actually had a letter written by my mother in her hand, put under my bed when she was pregnant with me, and she gave me to a Catholic. She couldn't take care of me immediately. I did end up with her, which is wonderful because she was great. But when she first had me, she put me in a Catholic foster home. And somebody put that in my bed, under my bed. And I went, whoa, what is going on? And then I have this ex-military friend on Facebook who started, I had already written a book. It was a reference book about targeting. And he started saying, you have to write a second book. And I said, why? And he said, well, because your story is really important. You need to start from the beginning, start from your birth, and write this book. So, we were in the pandemic, and I was really bored like everybody else. We were in lockdown. And I thought, well, okay, I'll do it. And I wrote the second book. And while I was writing that, and by the way, Kathy O'Brien says that's one of the secrets of getting past this stuff is to write everything out, write your story. Right. So I started writing this book, and lo and behold, I started having memories. Now, I don't know if this was neuroscience at work. It could have been. I started remembering, one of the things I remembered was I was raped in this Catholic home at age 3. And then Kathy O'Brien comes along, and none of this is coincidental. She puts out a video about how the Catholic Church was working with the government and during the MK Ultra years in Boston. And she's very detailed about who was involved. There was a cardinal law who was basically kicked out of the Catholic Church for raping children. He was involved with the CIA during MK Ultra in Boston when I was a child, exactly when I was a child. And I'm having these memories of being raped, and I had terrific trauma. It wasn't just the rape. Like my grandfather found out about it and came to the home and just picked me up and walked out with me. It was just totally traumatic. So I started writing this book, and I started realizing, first of all, I started talking to a bunch of other TIs. Now, I am surrounded by TIs where I live now, and I know a lot of them personally. And I'm finding out that all the women were raped as children, all of them, all right? They all had the same story. So I'm like going, what the hell is going on here, And I start writing this book, and I realized that the two men in my life, I had 2 major relationships as an adult, and they were both abusive, and they both had trauma in their childhood. So I'm putting all this together, and I'm going, oh my God, was I MK Ultra'd? And were they MK Ultra'd? And sure enough, some of the things I was involved with my husband was just exposed as being a CIA program. I mean, this is really getting freaky. So, I started looking at the whole body of my life and seeing how these relationships with these two guys in particular were engineered. Like, one stalked me till I gave in, and well, they both did actually. And then I ended up with them, and there were we had things that could be called experimentation going on. I could go on and on, but I won't get into it. I wrote a whole book about it, but then someone came along, and it was someone on social media, and I forget how the conversation came up, but I said, I've been in this a long, long time, and I'm beginning to think like my life was engineered. And he said, I think that all TIs were TIs from childhood, and that this was, and I'm not saying that's true. I'm not saying that's true. This was just, but I wonder how many, this could be a segment of the TI population that have been targeted since birth. I've heard the story like over and over and over again. And then there's just a little postscript here. We're getting into this whole difficult political situation in our country, and I'm listening to everybody. And one of the people I was listening to was General Flynn. And he says first of all, Robert David Steele was an ex-CIA agent. He's passed on. But he was exposing child sex trafficking and MKUltra and the connection between the two, and so was Kathy O'Brien. And he was talking to General Flynn, and General Flynn said, mind control is very real, and we are finding the old MKUltra victims, and we're rehabilitating them.
Oh, wow.
I almost fell over, and I was actually talking to a lawyer about all this, and I said, well, if this is rehabilitation, if I'm really MKUltra, which, connecting the dots, my life has been really strange. And it didn't make sense. And I was pulled here and there against my will and all kinds of things like that. It very much felt like trafficking when I look back at it. And I remember saying to this lawyer, well, if this is rehabilitation, what the hell are they doing? And, I'm being tortured. I've been tortured for 10 years. What on earth? What kind of rehabilitation is this? Anyways, just something to think about, because, like I said, I wrote a whole book about this. And when I started connecting the dots, I was really, truly amazed by how everybody in my life had been tortured as children, and how many TIs I knew that had been compromised since children. And my own story, things that never made sense, like being taken to San Francisco against my will and ending up with the Michael Aquino thing going on and having the same hallucinations as my boyfriend, who was in another room. Weird stuff going on in my life. And and then you said, oh, well, this has been going on a long time, and, both husbands were abusive. This is my story. Yeah. So, I'm just, light bulbs are going off. Just, who knows? I'm not, this is just a suspicion. I mean, this is very hard to prove. Although somebody put proof under my bed that I was given to the Catholic Church as a child, for supposed safekeeping. And then Kathy O'Brien, connects the dots for me that, the Catholic Church was working with the CIA on MKUltra in Boston at the time that this happened to me, the exact year that this happened to me. So just something to think about, if anybody has any more information, please let me know. I'm still trying to put this story together. And I'm fine.
And Kathy O'Brien has been, like I said, her books are wonderful. Transformation of America is astounding. The other thing is that not only has Kathy O'Brien been talking about this, but Roseanne Barr. So, I said this the last time I was on, but Roseanne Barr, she lost, her Twitter account because of something that supposedly she said. But actually, I think she lost her show because she was starting to talk about MKUltra, and she's very good friends with Kathy O'Brien. In fact, she just interviewed Kathy O'Brien the other day. But this is what Roseanne Barr has said. She said, everybody knows Hollywood runs on MKUltra. So she was doing these speeches with Kathy O'Brien at one time at different churches when Mark Phillips, Kathy O'Brien's husband, was still alive. But these, they're out there. I think a lot of them are on YouTube. So there are more people who know about this than what we want to think. This is, so massive and unbelievable and shocking that someone thinks they have the right to steal your life. So, but what? We just turn it around. We just turn it around. I mean, we can, I know we all have bad days, but we can't wallow in it. We have work to do. We must go forward and bolster each other up. Keep people, up. And
another thing, you just have to look at it and deal with it. And I've done that. I've had my tears. I've had my, I've had my anger. I've had my tears, and I just looked at it, and I came through the other side, and I said, look, you're here now, and things are changing, and you have, a lot of power because of what you've been through. And actually, I've looked at all those interviews. I've been following Kathy O'Brien for years, and Roseanne Barr. We're on the same page. There's another person that was exposing this, and that's Robert David Steele, and he was ex-CIA. And he was doing a series of interviews, and one of them is really telling. And it's an interview with Sean Stone and a man called James Martinez, and that is really worth watching. And James Martinez was a really good friend of someone who wrote a book about MKUltra, but in the 60s when it was really in full swing. And he said it was huge. It was massive. It wasn't just a few people. They were trying to redesign all of society. They, were really, like Kathy O'Brien says, they were already trying to put together the New World Order at that time, and they were working on MKUltra as part of that. And he said it was very widespread. It was like if you were born in the 50s and 60s, and you had a weird childhood full of trauma, you should look into it. And one good thing that came out in this interview is that he said, these people, because of what was done to them, they are just incredibly talented people for some reason. They are the best. They're like the top lawyers, they're the top politicians. They came out of it with talents that other people didn't have. They just were and a lot of them became artists, really excellent artists. You know, the CIA was doing all kinds of things to enhance intelligence and creativity during this, not just mind control to control the population, but also to see what they could do to the human being to enhance it. It's a really interesting interview, but yeah, this is all coming out.
Sean Stone has been amazing. Sean Stone is the son of Oliver Stone.
I know.
So Sean Stone has done a lot of work in this. He has interviewed a lot of great people. The information that he has put out there is wonderful. So, but I'd like to redirect the conversation back to Allison, if we don't mind, because she is our guest tonight. So let's do that. Let's go back to Allison. Are you still here? Allison, are you still on? She may have left because, you know, she's in Europe. So,
no, I'm still here. I just
good. What time is it there, Allison?
It's 5:20 in the morning.
Oh, God bless you. You've been up all night.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. I was going to try and leave at about 4:30, but I'm up now, and I've had about 4 small energy drinks, so I think it's kind of pointless trying to go to bed now anyway. So.
It's been such a pleasure getting to know you, and to hear you guys are doing in Europe, because I'm always curious as to what everybody else is doing, and it's always great that, we connect with our TI friends across the ocean, in Europe. And so I just appreciate you coming on and talking and then sharing more about your story and stuff. Everybody's story needs to be told and recorded. And I feel very strong. I feel very strong about that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Going back to what you were saying earlier, at the start of all this, when I started meeting other victims, I was very timid and I wouldn't hardly say anything at all. But since I've obtained evidence, like you touched upon earlier, Midge, I've developed a bit more strength because I understand what's happening to me and how it's being done. Mm-hmm. It's certainly helped me. I've come out of my shell and I feel comfortable in talking. The only thing I have to always remember is to not go into too many details about the civilians that I know are involved in my attack. They keep threatening that they will use it against me in some way, and I believe them. But yeah, no, I'm happy to share. I'm happy to share. At first, I wasn't at all. I was just absolutely mortified, and I was listening to other people's stories and just slowly learning just how huge this all is. But yeah, I've certainly calmed down, and I'm a lot more focused now. And yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Everybody should be able to share and talk and meet others and just basically have a voice. Everybody deserves that. Everybody.
Exactly. I've met so many TIs in person. I have flown all around this country meeting TIs and stuff, and there's something very powerful when we all come together. It's wonderful. The energy is incredible. And it's kind of like you don't even have to say much. You just say to the person next to you, I'm not feeling very well. They're hitting me right now. And we wouldn't normally be able to say that to, just a regular person. But when you're with another TI, you don't even really have to, say too much or really describe what you're going through. And everyone goes, oh, we get it. If you need to go lay down or whatever the case may be. And it's just really wonderful. I miss it. I haven't been with my TI friends physically in a while, and I really miss it. I really miss it a lot. It's very special when we can come together. So this is really powerful when I'm sure when you go visit Melanie and that you are both are working together, that it's, that energy is just, and we are, I think a lot of us have different gifts and stuff that they obviously would like to tap into. And they're curious about how our brains work for a lot of us.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
We have.
I have a gift of discovery, and so.
I know. I want to go find gold with you. let's get on a river in a boat, and you tell me where the gold is.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. We have Tucson, Arizona. Who would like to ask?
Old stomping grounds.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Tucson.
Oh, hi. I just got on the phone, so I only heard a few minutes of your story. And I've been a target for a very long time, and but to me, in my situation, I feel like that because I got so much abuse from my dad, and I came from a large family. He was able to get all of them to target me and be extra brutal to me. Even though he was very abusive to all of us, he was I was a scapegoat, and he was extra abusive to me. And so I got no therapy, and I attract, in a way, the identical life. I'm targeted by gang stalking, not by energy weapons. And I attract nothing but abusive men and brutal, dangerous. And when I try to tell people that this person is very dangerous and abusive, they're just like, oh my God, you're the worst. This is the nicest man ever. I've never been able to convince one person that he is abusive. Never. No one's ever come up to me that he's gotten to and said, hey, this guy said this about you. Do you know him or anything? So I hear your story, and, if you get MK Ultra, to me, as a child, most likely, unless you get a ton of therapy, you'll attract the same thing like Kathy O'Brien until she was deprogrammed or got therapy. I just think that's what happens as a general rule.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree.
That's what I'm wondering. Do you agree with that, or what do you think?
Well, it's a combination. I think it's different for different people. Allison, were you going to say something?
No, I'll talk after you. Apologies. Please go ahead.
Oh, no, it's okay. I think it's different for different people. I think I put out, pheromones for psychopaths, and and so, but see, for me, it's different. I mean, I met both my husbands in high school. So it's a little bit different. But even back then, that's the type of person I was attracting. But, I don't want this to be about, my story or anything like that. I am just so grateful that Allison is here and that, you've been sharing with us. And I just think it's remarkable what you and Melanie are able to do. So
yeah, she's a trooper.
God bless you. Yes. It's hard when you're actively doing activism or you're actively pursuing something to expose all this like you guys are doing. But sometimes the targeting gets ratcheted up, right? Different things happen to try to stop you. So in order to keep going, you have to keep going, but it sometimes gets very difficult. I understand that part really well, because I've done a lot of activism. And I've gone to D.C. 3 times, you know, even just standing out there on the highway protesting at the CIA headquarters, which was very interesting. Did it 6 times.
Midge.
You learn different things, yes?
We have Michael from Anchorage, Alaska, who would like to ask a question.
Oh, cool. I love Alaska. Hi, Michael.
Yes. I wanted to just give something to think about for the lady that called about how she was mistreated by her father and that she attracts similar type of man. There's a psychology that I've learned over the years that until you forgive what happened to you,
yes,
you're going to attract the same type of person like your father, because that you haven't really forgiven. You haven't. I'm not trying to, but it's just something to think about.
No, I understand what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah, the books say that it's just.
It's a known. Yeah, it's a known psychology that you. I don't know. It may be too simple, but you attract. If you have lots of hatred in your past with the person, the type of person, it's.
They used to say that girls.
I don't want to be negative on this, but I just want it's something to think about.
So you have to forgive because because you carry stuff with you, and once you go through that process, then you are free. But also, you must think about what has been done to you by these perpetrators and stuff, because they're broken. Somebody has done something to them. This is a cycle. So you have to think about what have they gone through in order that this personality, these traits have been developed in this person that are not normal. So they are broken. They are a broken person on the inside. And you do have to forgive. It's very freeing, and you can then go live your life because you have a life to live. I was talking to a lady the other day, and she said, "Oh, my life is over, blah, 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 blah." And I said, "No, your life isn't over. It's only over if you allow it to be over. But you can't get these days back, so live your life to the best of your ability. Do things that make you happy, surround yourself with people that you can laugh with and find joy. Keep that joy in your heart, because you know what? They can't take that away. And nobody can take my love for others away." So once I figured all that out, then I was free. And this girl, I have fun. I am going to live my life. And as Frank knows, I've been given some bad news medically, and I told him about today. But you know what? I still look at things, and maybe it's just me, and I know it's not always easy, trust me. But if you can turn it around into a positive, that's it, Always try to turn this around to a positive. This is what Melanie and Allison have done. They've taken what has been horrifically done to them, and they're turning it around and making it a positive by doing this class action lawsuit, which is absolutely remarkable.
Could I just say something? I really concur with everything the gentleman and you, Midge, just said. And just sort of going back to the prior lady not so long ago talking about therapy. As a result of the childhood trauma that I endured, I only found out about it about 6 years ago. I'd blocked it out. It was completely repressed. And I had some DBT therapy, which is similar to CBT. It's called dialectical behavior therapy. It's tailored to borderline personality disorder patients, which is what I believe now, maybe falsely diagnosed with. But that therapy worked wonders with me. I gained so many insights from it. And despite the fact that I'm now being targeted, that therapy has stayed with me and it's helped me through this. And then the forgiveness side of things, like I forgave my family member right at the sort of start of my targeting after I got out of the mental health institution. This targeting actually helped me to realize that this family member did not do what he did knowingly, and he was a child himself. And that forgiveness has helped me to sort of heal. And I try to change my attitude towards this into as positive as I possibly can. And one of the things that I like to take with me is that personally, I think that, I mean, I've got a lot of friends, but I'll probably lose them when I finally publicize this amongst people who know me. But the best thing I think I can take away with me from this is the people that I've met in this community. I don't think I've ever met better people, and I really do mean that. Every single person that I've met along this journey has been so kind and so intelligent, so humble and caring, and that's what I try to take away with me from it, is that mainly. Yeah, I just wanted to say that.
I think that's really profound. I really do. I have met some of the best people ever in my life after I became targeted. And it opened up, you know, there again, make it a positive. It has opened up this huge, broad spectrum of connections across, you know, around the globe. I mean, that would have never happened before. You know, I was in my little bubble, and I had no idea what anyone else was going through in a different country other than Canada, which is my second home. So this has opened up my life to a lot of wonderful people, and I'm just so grateful that I have really great friends in the community, and you know, I just love you all.
Well, thank you, Midge. We all love you too. And we have another question from Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
Oh, it's not a question. I just wanted, for the guy who called in and said it's about forgiveness, it sure is. I could not agree more. You have to. And the block for me is just so much anger, so much subconscious anger. I mean, just my dad alone ruined my life. Just so brutal. And I just want to say that I totally agree with that. And I try to think, okay, it's a dichotomy for me because, you know, I have to think, okay, well, to become a covert narcissist, you have to be abused. And he was. And so that could be a way to forgive him because he was abused. But on the other hand, I think, well, he should have also been held accountable, and he never was. Like all these people who are doing these things to us should be held accountable, but they all, except for the psychopaths who are probably born that way, they all had to be abused, all of them. They're disordered people. People like us, in my opinion, could not do what they are doing to us because we're not that type. We're not, we're more, I hate to say the word victims, but we're not these disordered, destructive, dangerous people. We're just not. Not that I see.
Right. No, how's Tucson? That's my old stomping ground. It used to be a land developer.
The weather, like for the last 2 days, could not be better. It's like 80 degrees or something, no wind. And I'm like, oh my God, it's, the weather is supreme right now. Where are you now?
Oh, I'm in Phoenix. I like Tucson. It's so pretty. But yeah. So,
Yeah.
Anyhow, lucky you that you're there.
I'm not. I don't. I would rather live in San Diego. I was born here. I'm so tired of it. I can't take it. So.
Oh, okay. Well, you've seen a lot of changes then.
Yeah. It has grown fast.
Yeah. Anyhow, so it's nice to talk to someone from Tucson. Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks. Well, thanks for being here.
Okay, we have another question from Becky. Go ahead, Becky. You're now unmuted.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention because the person was just saying that basically that we're all decent human beings and we're not these monstrous people, like the people that are targeting us. And so I just wanted to mention what they did to me in my sleep last night. So, in the past they did trying to test the water to see if they could make me into a Manchurian candidate. So they realized that they couldn't do that. So last night they were trying to see if they influenced me, like to get married, if I would be one of those, if they could make me one of those women that would kill her husband. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And I, my subconscious, I like talk back to him, no way, I value human life and, you're never, ever going to get me to do anything like that. So, I mean, these people, like they'll just, if they'll try one thing and then they'll try another and they just keep trying to make you into some kind of monster like they are. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Any comment?
Well,
yeah.
Right. Well, everyone's targeting is different. So.
Yeah, I get a lot of dream manipulation.
I don't do that. Honestly, what works for me is keeping this joyful heart and there's other things that you can do that Kathy O'Brien just talked about. So if you feel like you're under mind control or that they're doing something like that to you, what you do is you journal. And Roseanne was talking about that. You journal because journal uses a different part of your brain. When you put it to paper, it does something very phenomenal. The other thing that Kathy O'Brien talks about is that you stay mindful of your time. You wear a watch or you keep a clock so that you don't get lost and you lose the day, like being on the computer for hours. So what happens when that happens is that the implants work with motors. Okay, so every motor, seriously, works in conjunction with the implants. So what happens if you're on the computer, oftentimes you get lost, right? And it does mind control, and you find yourself that the day has gone and you haven't gotten anything done. But what is actually happening is that the motor is working in conjunction with the implants, and it's doing mind control to keep you on that computer. You must break away. Keep a clock nearby. Be mindful of your time so that you don't lose your days. And this is what Kathy
I don't have a computer. I'm not on the computer, but
I'm not talking just to you. I'm talking to the community.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was just saying that the perps have generators and stuff. In fact, about a half an hour ago, they started in on the generators.
That's intentional. The landscapers, whatever. So, on last Friday's call, people were talking about the motors on their refrigerators. Yeah, they do this, and they can oftentimes do it remotely with the smart meters, okay? So there's different ways that they can do this. So you just have to be aware, and then you just combat it. Because even Bill Binney says you can turn this back onto them. And that's what you have to keep in mind. Don't ensconce yourself with this every day, all day. Get outside, get out in nature, and turn this back on them and keep joy in your heart. And like I said, I know it's not easy every day. I get it.
Thank you. I'll mute now.
Okay, for the present time, that is the end of the questions. So I think what I'll do now is open up the floor. Good idea? Oh, we got Michael. Go ahead, Mike. Right now.
I have a question for Allison.
Okay.
What I do for music, or what I have been doing for music lately, I've been listening to a woman singer. I believe she lives in England now. Her name is Katie Melua. Have you ever heard of her?
I think I've heard that name. I will be honest, if it's popular music, it will not be something that I'll have listened to, but I think I've heard that name. Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, she was born in Georgia, Eastern Europe, and she moved to, I believe she grew up in Northern Ireland. But her music is great. From what I've read, she's for the last, I don't know how many years, but 3 years, the top selling female singer in England. I don't know what year it was, but I listened to her, and she's really calming and fun, enjoyable, realistic, very realistic life music. So I suggest that people listen to her. She's a young lady. I think she's in her 30s, but she's super talented. She's from England.
Okay, I'm sure. Yeah.
Katie Melua.
Yeah,
she's from England.
Yeah, I'm sure I've heard of her, and I'll give it a listen. I appreciate that. I've got a suggestion for you and for others. There's a Canadian folk group. They're no longer together, but they're absolutely fantastic. They are called the Be Good Tanyas, and they're awesome. I had the pleasure of seeing them in the UK a number of years back. Going off on a tangent, but yeah, if you want to listen to some really beautiful folky sort of music, I highly recommend the Be Good Tanyas. They're awesome.
Yeah, I just thought I asked that because you're from England, so.
I think I know the name, but I'm not sure if I've actually listened to her music. But I've written it down, and I'll certainly give it a listen. I love music. I haven't been able to do anything musical for quite some time because of all of this. But I appreciate that. I'll give her a listen. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
And I suggest other TIs to listen to her because she's very mellow and positive. Yeah.
Can I interject?
And also about Midge, what Midge said earlier about FCC and the telecom relay system. I was doing some research on 5G, and this telecommunication retiree for 30 years. He was saying that the major, what do you call these guys, the Verizons and AT&T, the corporations, they
Hello?
Hello?
No, he just disappeared. He'll be back. But Elizabeth in the chat wants to know if Becky ever got her email because she did not respond. There's no way for Becky to answer either, so Not at this point.
Frank, Midge, I'm just letting you know that at 6 o'clock, if you don't mind, I'm going to...
Oh, Allison, God bless you. Thank you so much for staying on the call and, giving us all this great information. I'm sure you're very tired. So
I'm okay.
The Q&A session is over. All participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
Midge, I'll find you.
Hello, sorry.
Hit *6, Midge.
there we go. Okay, Allison, thank you again. We really appreciate you being here.
No, I appreciate you allowing this. Allowing this? Is that the right? I know, that's how tired I am. No, I appreciate your time. I'm so sorry. I appreciate your time and Frank for helping us with this. It's so helpful for ICATOR. I was really nervous, but it's been wonderful to meet you and to hear so many victims and answer questions.
Yeah.
I've actually had a good time, and that's what Frank said.
Good.
When we spoke before.
That's good.
That's what I told her.
You have some new friends. You have some new friends, Allison.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Okay.
And I thank you for your kind words and for both of your time. And just I don't really know what to say. Just thank you to you both and to everybody that's listened and everybody who's asked questions. I really appreciate it on a personal level and for obviously promoting the ICATOR lawsuit.
Okay.
We all love you, Allison. We all love you very much.
I'm going to get some breakfast, I think.
Yeah. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There's a gun and ammunition just inside the doorway.